Bloody bones.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast. On Sunday, the 25th of August, 2019. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Whoa!
And Zachary Burgess.
And now it's the Hotcast. We narrowly avoided the one in July, but we're having one in August instead.
It's the August Bank Holiday, hottest on records.
It's so hot.
It's almost
so
super
hot.
hot. Super hot.
We're not quite at the July temperatures yet.
What was that phrase from the indie world that we couldn't help but say in American there? Was it like super hot? Or was it just that? Or?
Oh, super hot. Well, they're
Super
counting
hot.
out.
It's so super hot.
Oh, it's hot right now.
Oh my God.
It
It's
is.
super hot.
It is. It's 31, so it's not quite that July day. What was it? 38?
In Cambridge, apparently,
In
yeah.
Cambridge, yeah. It was pretty close to that in London. It was weird. I was expecting it to be, like, horrible, but it was actually just like being on holiday. Basically.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I don't know people that are out in Greece at the moment, and they were like saying that the it's like 38, 40-ish out there. But it's like this. Everyone says, but it's a different heat, and it's like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, the like English heat seems to be the worst for some reason. It's just actually no, Malaysian heat was pretty bad. Because it's so thick.
Is it purely the humidity?
Yeah,
just
pretty
the water
much.
content.
Pretty much, it is a wading exercise when it's that hot out there.
I just don't like that idea.
Unfortunately, it's not something you can get rid of. You can't just undo the concept of humidity.
You
I don't like that idea. Ignore it.
You can not go to Malaysia. You could go somewhere else.
You aircon the crap out of it, is what you do.
Go to Greece instead. Yeah, I mean,
Theoretically, shouldn't Greece be like super humid as well? Because it's mostly water,
Yeah, I don't think
very close in the vicinity.
But
weirdly, I don't think
just
it's
isn't,
yeah. It's I don't quite know how to explain it.
no, I don't know.
I don't know if it's. And the thing is maybe it's not actually humidity. Maybe it's just some odd.
I'm sure in
feel
Malaysia
to
it is humidity.
It's,
Yeah,
That's
yeah, definitely.
monsoon central.
It's like 100% all the time out there. It's like there
Right.
isn't a day that isn't humid.
it's just saturated
Yeah,
in the air. The wet bulb temperature or whatever it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
When were you out there again?
Well, a good few years ago
A while
now.
ago now.
I can't remember what time. I think I was not summer season, fortunately, but it was still ridiculous.
Mm.
You get used to it though, oddly.
Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah, but I don't. But like when maybe it's because it's cold enough at night here or something like that. There's something about it when it's a local heat wave. I just don't get used to it.
You don't have it for long
Well,
enough.
it's never long enough.
Well,
is
no,
it?
but I only spent a couple of days out in Malaysia, and it's like, but I was walking, I suppose, in around the day when I had to myself. I did spend most of it just walking around.
Yeah, exploring.
Yeah, I must have been a sight to behold.
Were you not prepared? I mean, what do you even?
I mean, how do you
wear?
prepare?
Yeah.
You just have to.
I guess if you're English, you have to like.
It's not like everyone wears a wetsuit out there, is there? Like it's a day wear or something to soak up all the sweat you've got.
Yeah. Is there any kind of garments like that? Like that's gonna.
I don't know. I suppose like running technical shirts.
Yeah.
are supposed to be pretty good for the. I mean, I have worn my tech shirts on a couple of hot days.
Yeah, my brother started wearing his tech shirts, like because he found some from Uniqlo that don't have any like logos on them or anything,
Okay.
and they look reasonably normal. I mean, they're obviously, if you look at them,
Yeah, because they've got the pattern.
Yeah. But yeah, they definitely keep you cool.
Yeah, they're all right. It's always the same. Well, football shirts kind of made of that technical stuff now, aren't they? So it's well, they probably have done for a while. So they've got that pattern on it. You could pass it off as just like doesn't look quite so bad. Like it's just a football shirt without any of the logos on it. It's probably all right.
Yeah, probably. Still looks a bit weird around the house, but I mean, that's not what you're worried about, is it?
Well, no, I suppose I don't. I suppose I've got a couple that aren't super emblazoned with logos. Like a couple of Caramors, but they're long sleeves, which doesn't help.
Can you wear your running club
I could just wear my colours. Yeah,
Colours.
I could just wear.
Yeah.
But the problem is my Felixstowe shirt, it's never been quite big enough for me. Like it barely covers my bulge.
Oh, right.
My bulging stomach, I should say.
Be more specific on that one.
Yeah.
I'm quite proud of my bulge. No. Yeah, so it'd be riding up the whole time. It'd be like barely on display, lads. Check out my midriff.
Midriff tight.
Maximum midriff. Summer. I have worn some of my shirts about just for, especially when I'm doing like housework. Actually, the couple times that I do it when Gnome's not here.
That really is like gets you temperature going.
Yeah, it was hard.
Doing housework.
I was doing a bit this morning because Gnome's away all weekend, so I did a bit because that's what happens. It's like because Gnome's so good at it, and so what's the word I'm looking for here? I wouldn't say complaining, but critical of my housework skills
that you do.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be complaining if you're not going to do it if you just get it.
That's not how that works.
Yeah,
it's like when I'm looking at because I have 2 cups and 2 spoons that I drink tea with.
Seriously, that you cycle between 2 cups?
Yeah, that I cycle between
all forever.
But yeah, forever. Because it's the 2 huge ass giant fucking
the
mugs
Sports Direct ones,
and the spoons that are long enough to not disappear into them.
Okay, you need special equipment.
Yeah, so I have very specific cups and spoons. And I can literally tell who last did the washing up by how well the spoon handle has been cleaned.
Oh, wow.
Because someone forgets to wash up the spoon handle all the time.
Yeah, that happens at work quite a bit. Like, people think we have a problem at work where there's not enough teaspoons. Like, they get used of it, like, we've just run out of them, like, halfway through the day.
Yeah.
So some people have taken to actually, like, you know, like myself, like, we rinse them out and, like, after we use them and put them on the side. So it's like, so we're not going to run out of those. They don't have to go through the dishwasher. It's because we've got a stash on the side. And a lot of people there. I haven't quite identified who they are, but like a lot of people who do that technique and don't just put them straight in the dishwasher, they'll leave that little bit of a coffee line, like at the top of the head of the spoon, which is like, you haven't rinsed that properly.
You know, it's particularly bad on my spoons where it's like I do only have those 2, so it gets used for quite a long time before I'm this is probably time to change this mug for the other one that's now clean.
How long is quite a long time in Zachland? Like a week?
Several days at least.
What, you use the same spoon for several days? Or?
Same spoon and cup. It's a combo. They go together. Then you put that once the other one has successfully been washed.
Is it like a wok with you? Like, as in the flavour of the cup gets better over a few days?
No, it gets worse. That's how you can tell. You're like, so you tea is tasting significantly different.
Do you wash it out then after every cup of tea? Or you just reuse it for 3 days?
Just pour it straight on top.
That's
also why I use a strainer from the kettle into the cup to filter out all the crap that's in the kettle. Because if you pour the kettle straight into it, you just get a big pile of calcium at the bottom of your mug that gradually accumulates over the number of cups that you have.
I gotta admit, I did used to do that when I was working from home. I used to use the same mug for a good number of days and just reuse it.
I thought I always wash after every single one. I don't know why.
Well, I'd give it a rinse, but not a proper wash.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was talking to my dad about making tea in the teapot because we have a very fancy small teapot now.
Oh, cool!
That only does like 2 cups maximum, and it's like nice, and it's got like a lift-out internal filter cup basically that contains the tea leaves. And he was like, "Why don't you just use that?" And I'm like, I bet if I open this up now, there will just be a bunch of old tea in there from the last time you made it. Because obviously, it's like either you're going to have to wash it out after you're done, or you're going to have to wash it out before you're done. Because inevitably, the other person who last used it won't have done that. One of those 2 things. There's just old tea in it continuously. And I'm just like, why don't I just put the tea bag in my mug and pour the thing into my mug? And make no extra washing up in the process. And also, I'm still using the tea bags rather than the loose tea, so it kind of negates the whole point of that teapot to some extent.
Mm.
And if I'm only making a tea for myself, you're actually literally wasting tea because you're going to leave some in that pot because you're never going to be able to get the exact amount of water in there. Unlike when you're just filling up a mug, where you just fill it up as much as the mug is. And then my mum made this. She was talking about, did you hear about, I don't know what this was. I guess when we got this new teapot, but she was talking about like some ancient Chinese type of teapot, which is made of this special clay that absorbed the tea, and to the point where eventually you could make a cup of tea without using any tea at all because the tea just was infused into the pot.
It was in the pot.
And I was
surely for a while, and then it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So basically, you're making really shit tea for a long time to get one free tea at some point.
For that one tea, oh man.
You're absorbing some proportion of every tea you're making in order to get one free tea in the future.
How does that even get absorbed into like ceramic?
Yeah, it's just like unfired clay, I guess.
I see.
It. Yeah, like a tea loyalty scheme in your pot.
But like you're making literally worse tea every time.
Presumably only a little bit, though,
yeah,
right?
But like...
Would you notice a 10% drop in tea?
But she was like, yeah, you get this free tea. And I'm like, You're not.
It's not
tea is not spontaneously created from nothing.
It's a significant tea investment there over the.
Well, hang on. Maybe there's like because only a certain amount of tea could infuse in the water, right? So maybe you saturate the water with the tea, and then a bit more can go into the thing. So maybe it is for free. Maybe you're getting more bang for your buck
because you'd be throwing away otherwise.
Yeah,
and
but then you might as well just start reusing tea bags for more than one cup of tea. At that point, if you're going to worry about that,
I mean, presumably it's even better in your case with your super long brews. Like even more. It's like give it all the time to get that percentage right up.
Yeah, but it doesn't really go any higher at a certain point. That's the trick with
it's like
it reaches a limit.
Isn't it like 2 or 3 minutes, like supposedly with tea, where it becomes like super diminishing returns?
Yeah,
like
even with the milk already in, like
even with your super slow technique, the milk slows it down.
Yes, and there's no such thing as free tea. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
That's the Burgess principle.
Well, that's my principle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won't be making tea in a teapot unless I have to use tea leaves, in which case that's the appropriate time to use that thing. Because it has the nice internal filters.
Do you reckon chefs and that should wear technical teas? I'm just thinking, like, would it be better for them, like, to be in
hygienic to like, for the sweat to fly off.
I suppose not. Yeah, like wick it out.
Yeah,
I suppose not. Be extra salty food.
They're basically wearing lab coats. That's what they have.
They are. Yeah,
that's true.
They have a thing to prevent all the shit that comes off everything going all over them.
Well, they need something. Right, what they really need, like, you need a suit that wicks the sweat away from you. So a technical underlayer. But then just dumps it out the bottom
onto the floor.
Yeah, so it doesn't like fly into the food or whatever. You're just siphoning it downwards.
Right, yeah.
No, you need it to be fully enclosed. It siphons it into like a pouch that you then empty at regular intervals.
It's like a still suit from June.
Basically.
That was the dumbest idea, where like it collects all your moisture, right, so that you can survive in the desert on minimal water. But like that was the idea in the sci-fi. Right. But if you actually did that, you'd probably like cook in your own suit, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
The heat is still going into the water, so as long as like the packet is insulated, and then you somehow get rid of that heat at some point.
But they make it so that the packets are like covering all of you, which is really weird. I suppose. Yeah, there must be some kind of way. They're making a new Dune film.
They're making a new insert film here.
Yeah,
it's Denis Villeneuve.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I can be on board with that.
Yeah.
Villeneuve's pretty awesome.
Yeah. He's probably got a good cast.
So what about The Matrix 4?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, I know we're in the middle of the Keanu Reeves but...
Keanu
But where the fuck are they going to go with that story? It just doesn't make any sense.
I know.
I mean,
is Keanu in it? Is the other question?
Well,
yeah, he is, and Carrie Ann Moss.
Oh God, but he's dead.
I know.
But they're not. Well,
the obvious way to do it.
He can be a program. That's fine.
Oh,
because he can be like in the machine. He can literally be a machine now.
Yeah.
Oh, what you reckon? Like as he died, like
he can just become code.
He moved his consciousness.
Because he chose like the whatever Helios or Daedalus ending of Deus Ex,
pretty much,
where he merged with the. What was the computer called at the end?
She's very dead.
What happened to? Wait, how was she
stabbed in the chest with a multitude of metal when the hovercraft crashes?
Oh yeah,
she got very, very deaded.
She's not just Matrix dead; she's really dead.
Is this like a super prequel?
I mean, that would be the only thing that makes sense.
It's like Anderson's life, more of Anderson's discovery or something of what's going on.
Well, if it was not the Wachowskis and it was someone else doing it, then they could just do like one of those ones where they just ignore sequels and they just make it a sequel to, because that's what they're doing with Terminator, right? They're just
that has time travel built in, so that's kind of helpful.
Time travel in Matrix.
Isn't the next Terminator they're making actually back to canon supposedly, and like none of this time travel nonsense? This is what happened.
Yeah, but the
whole thing is time travel.
I know, but
they're making
they're sort of explicitly saying anything that happened after T2 or something.
Is gone.
Is gone.
Yeah. But they did that with Superman, didn't they? They're like, anything after Superman 2 is gone.
Yeah, but that also is a film that involves time travel.
Yeah, but didn't they? And also, didn't they do it again, like with the recent Superman films? And they're just like, none of that matters.
I mean, comic books do that all the time. So in their case, that's sort of makes meta sense, I guess. Where you're just going to we're just going to rebuild the universe in this film, just like a comic book would.
Well, they might have to do that for the first time in the MCU.
Yeah, everyone's pissed about that as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't really make any sense making a sequel to the original Matrix, because at the end he's like literally Jesus. Except he's
only
bad.
Jesus in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Even like a reasonable opening. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like the end of the third film where it's like, this is how you're going to go anywhere from there.
Yeah. I have to admit, I haven't seen Revolutions more than once, I don't think.
Oh,
probably.
really? Okay.
Or maybe I've seen it twice. But
yeah, I've seen it a few times.
I didn't like it at all, so...
No.
Reloaded, I've seen a few times for the action scenes.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'm one of the... I don't mind any of them, but I think the last one's probably the one I've seen the least.
Mm.
But yeah, the scenes in the second one are what you watch it for, right?
Exactly.
They are properly good. The motorway sequence is so good.
Even like the low key ones, like the fight on the tables with the key guy or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think is quite cool. But like the ridiculous twins or whatever, the painter decorator twins or whatever, they're really stupid.
That is weird.
And the French guy or whatever, the Merovingian.
Well, it's the bit where they just learn to use weapons suddenly. That was the bit that was weird.
What do you mean they learn to use weapons?
Well, all the other films up to that point, you're either punching or maybe shooting a gun, which is totally useless. But then suddenly it's like, but what about melee weapons? And then they're just fighting in this hall of melee weapons. Right. And it's just like grabbing all these random swords and maces and shit.
Well, you got to.
But that makes perfect sense in that.
But it's like, how did no one figure that up to that point?
Yeah, maybe. I wonder if they hadn't got hadn't finished the training program down yeah,
I know kung fu, but what the fuck do I do with a sword?
Well, hey, but up to that point, right? In the first film, they're not really fighting the agents all that much, right? Because they're still feared.
Sure.
And so, using guns is still practical because they're fighting normal guys.
Hmm.
And then beyond that, they're not really fighting normal guys so much anymore. They're fighting all these weird programs. So where we know guns are no longer a valid strategy.
Yeah.
So it sort of makes sense.
There's a certain logic to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
And they're remaking Lady and the Tramp in live action.
They're doing every single film.
Okay.
Good time.
They'll do
I saw that and I was just like, yep, that's the trend continues.
What will be the stupidest one?
That is
Robin Hood.
No, Robin Hood would be awesome.
American Tail.
Is that even a Disney one?
No, it's Don Bluth, right? Is he Disney?
I don't know. I always get that one messed up. I don't know if that's a Disney film or not.
The Rescuers with live action mice.
The Rescuers would probably be bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
Which ones have? Is that even a musical? No. I don't remember any songs. I'm not sure it is.
Yeah. I mean, Noma and I sort of enjoyed The Lion King. We thought it was all right, but she had the same complaint that a lot of people did with it, and that it's while it's fairly faithful to the original, it's like there's something about the hunt for realism makes it lose a lot of emotion.
Yeah,
and lose a lot of the charm.
Yeah, of course.
It's like it looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it I think it has less going on in terms of its
of course
visuals than the Jungle Book did.
Oh right, yeah. You mean the Jungle Book?
The other Jon Favreau.
Yeah, CGI Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm quite a fan of Jon Favreau stuff. Generally, I can't. He's pretty great. I like him a lot. But this take was too real. It was too real, man.
It's the Lion King. It's not meant to be real. Yeah. So Spider-Man's, yeah.
Spider-Man's.
I think I was just trying to work it out earlier, and Tom Holland is signed, I think, to do more Spider-Man films for Sony. So presumably his deal was with Sony for X number of films. But they're out of the MCU, I guess.
Again. After being in for 2 years.
I mean...
Live action Toy Story, I've got it. Because
I guess that is Disney technically.
They'll just have Tom Hanks wandering around in a cowboy outfit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but no, but the live action version of that is to use actual toys and do a weird stop motion, except
that would be cool if it was who is it, the studio that does Coraline and Kubo and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then you're looking at something that would be fucking Small Soldiers or something. Except I guess technology has improved somewhat since Small Soldiers.
Oh god.
Do you see Toy Story 4?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, that's generally the impression I've heard. It's all right. Yeah. But, I don't know, in the same breath, you can say, stop after 3.
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah.
Just like
because 3 was excellent.
Well, what they did was, make it not, it's like a different thing. It's not trying to be like those first 3. It's definitely feels like quite a standalone Woody story rather than a full ensemble thing, kind of, to me.
Forky. No, I'm really interested. Let me come back to me on the Disney thing. There must be some really bad ones. They already did both the 101 Dalmatians films.
I'm actually.
Oh yeah.
I tell you the one that I would actually want to see because I guess it's my favourite one of those films.
What that sort of Disney?
Yeah, the Disney age would be Sword in the Stone.
Yeah, Sword in the Stone.
Oh yeah, that would.
They won't do that though.
No, they did that.
What?
Oh, not Sword in the Stone. Sorry, they did the Sorcerer thing, which was a really weird take on it, didn't they? Isn't the Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Sorcerer's Apprentice was Fantasia, wasn't it? That was the...
Oh, was that the Disney? Yeah. Or what did they... Oh, I can't remember. There was that weird film where, Nicolas Cage was like the Sorcerer, and the guy that plays the voice from How to Train Your Dragon, the guy that plays the lead in that, or whatever his name is, and he was the apprentice or something. It was a surprisingly okay film.
They'll eventually have to do a ridiculous CGI Fantasia where you get a Disney branded acid tab handed to you as you go into the cinema.
Again, I think I want to say they.
I mean, they have remade Fantasia quite recently.
Remade or remastered?
I think it was a remaster.
I don't think you actually can because it's the Walt Disney quote unquote masterpiece thing where they would never touch that.
I don't know. I think they did. I feel like I remember people being very annoyed.
Didn't they make a second one, Fantasia 2000 or something?
Yeah, that was that as well.
Maybe
which was explicitly much worse.
And there was that Fantasia game.
Music Evolved.
Yeah, Music Evolved.
I'd forgotten there was an Epic Mickey too.
Oh,
I thought Epic Mickey was a failure.
Well, Epic Mickey 2 certainly was.
They kind of both were. Yeah. Apparently, the first Epic Mickey's actually is an okay game.
Yeah, well,
but just didn't sell. Right. So they made a second one, after leading from that sort of the critique not being too bad, except they made a worse game.
Right.
And so it didn't sell. No. It's just a bit of a bummer actually, because it's kind of a cool idea.
His first game was Warren Spector for some reason.
Yeah,
which was weird.
It was a cool idea. I can get behind it. It's like Sonic and Classic Sonic.
Is it though?
With Mickey's. Just stayed in Dan's face.
I've just got light right in my eye now.
I told you should just shut the curtains.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Films done.
Yeah, that was the film section.
Got
through that.
Have you seen the Tarantino film?
No. We've not been seeing a lot of late. We've been quite busy.
Yeah, fair enough. I've seen a couple of good films in the cinema recently.
Yeah.
The Tarantino was good. And then before that, I saw Midsummer, the horror film.
Oh, right.
With Florence Pugh.
I'm not big on my horror films in general.
Yeah, I'm not either. Ho and David invited me to the cinema to see Midsummer. I was like, I don't know what that is, but okay. And then I was like, oh, it's like a crazy horror film. And it was quite late on a Sunday. I was like, oh, is this going to be good? But it was actually really good.
Okay.
I recommend it. It's kind of like a Wicker Man-y type thing. They go to
a village that's a bit odd.
They go to a place and get all culted up.
Yeah, it's a cult village, but the twist is that not really twist, but it's in Scandinavia in quite far north in the middle of summer where it's never dark.
Yeah, okay, I do remember the trailer for this now.
Yeah, which is kind of cool for a horror film that it's always bright sunlight.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a different twist on it.
Yeah, and it kind of goes where you expect it to go, but it's really well shot, and acted. And I think Florence Pugh's quite good. I think she's been cast as the new Black Widow.
Interesting.
So that could be interesting.
Wait, how? But that in itself is a kind of a how.
Yeah. Well,
how can they have a new Black Widow?
Well, they can't.
Reincarnation.
Well, they're doing a
spoiler
Black
alert.
Widow film, right? Which is a prequel.
It's a prequel, yeah.
So presumably she'll be in.
Oh, unless she's like younger Black Widow or something.
No.
Or was someone else at the school,
thingy, or something like that. We shall see. But it's pretty common to have new characters take over roles in Marvel, although they haven't done that in the MCU yet, have they?
No.
It's like they momentarily thought about it with Iron Man and War Machine, but then they're like, nah,
I guess they've done it with Captain America, spoiler alert, sort of.
What do you mean? Well, they had... No.
No. Isn't there a new Captain America?
No. I don't think that was really... I don't think there was a sort of torch handover in quite the same way.
I thought that's what it was supposed to be, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by that.
Anyway, that was good. And then...
I suppose there was again, minor spoiler alert here. If you haven't seen that, Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man's kind of Iron Man now.
Well, was always the idea, but I mean, they kind of put the kibosh on that now, haven't they? Sony there, or Disney, or whoever's fault it is.
They have to.
They've got to work something out. I think it's
a stupid... Like, both sides are being dumb. Like, everyone's been blaming... Oops. I don't know who's been blaming... Like, the internet's been... I think it's been mostly pointing the finger at Sony. And it's like, come on, guys. It's like Disney, these things are negotiations. It's like there's probably both sides
exactly
not working together. Either way, like, it's one of those deals where it's like, even if you got a bad deal,
it's going to be a lot of money.
Hella money.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess
which would make you think surely Sony would be the one that would be more enthusiastic about that deal.
Yeah, because
they are the smaller end of that
short
money balance.
I was about to say, short of the original Spider-Man film and Spider-Verse.
Well, apparently Venom did okay, even though it wasn't that good. Apparently it did fine.
What, the Amazing Spider-Man?
No, Venom, sorry.
Oh, Venom did well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they've got a bit more confidence than before. Sony Pictures.
Yeah, maybe. As I say, those Amazing films were not good.
No.
Or maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe Sony were like, now that we snuck Spider-Man back into the Marvel universe for a minute and got everyone infused about Spider-Man, now we can take him back to our side again, just do it by ourselves and make all the money.
Yeah.
Oh man, that makes way too much sense.
Well, that's the idea. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, but they must have made a truckload off the Spider-Man game. Probably not as much as films do.
Probably not. No.
Spider-Man game was so good though. Like,
it was really good.
I think it sold really well.
Yeah. But those MCU movies make a ton.
Yeah. Because you kind of have to watch them all. The Pokemon of films.
Although I did like the bit in Endgame where Thor has to explain the entire plot, basically, of Dark, or whatever it's called, before the Dark World, because nobody saw it, or nobody remembers anything about it because it was bad.
I've been seeing a lot of tweets, actually, like, of people, like, because it's like, 10 years of the MCU?
Yeah.
Or we're probably more than that now.
Yeah.
And there's sort of people have been rewatching the entire series, and like quite a lot of them come back saying, "Yeah, that second Thor film still the worst.
Still sucks.
Still the worst."
I don't think it's the worst.
I didn't mind it.
Incredible Hulk wasn't that good.
Of course,
that's technically MCU.
That is, because that is like the second film, isn't it? Because Iron Man came first.
Yeah, but none of those characters.
I watched that pretty recently, actually. Because I'd never seen it before.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's totally average.
Yeah.
Which is not what the MCU is known for.
No. Like the fight at the end or whatever with.
Yeah, that probably is the worst one.
Yeah.
That probably is the worst.
And Liv Tyler going, Bruce.
Has Liv Tyler ever been good?
Well, she was fine as Arwen. I don't think she's bad as Arwen.
She was Arwen, yeah.
Right? She's fine as Arwen.
Yeah, that's okay.
Although Arwen isn't in it that much. They beefed up her presence. Of course, in the book, she's barely in it at all, right? There's almost no women in Lord of the Rings.
I mean, she does the Bruce thing in Armageddon as well. I'm thinking
that's
about
true.
It. Daddy Bruce. That's a different Bruce, isn't it? That's Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
Bruce.
And now she's done Bruce Banner. She just needs to do Bruce Wayne, and she'll have
all the Bruces.
She'll have all the Bruces, fully Bruced
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Our Pats as Batman coming.
Is what?
Arpats is Batman.
What?
Yeah.
No.
He's the next Batman.
What?
For realsies.
Oh my god. Just stop the world and I want to get off now. Like, I've had enough. Trump, Johnson, and Arpats as Batman. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's fine. He's a perfectly good actor.
I reckon that would probably work quite well.
Yeah, he's always been quite good, I always thought.
Then again, I actually thought Ben Affleck would work quite well, and it sort of didn't, but that's not really Ben Affleck's fault, I don't think.
Yeah.
That was kind of mostly the terrible, terrible film's fault.
Yeah, come on, Zack Snyder. Give it up.
It's a shame. Snyder's not been good of late. Give me some 300 and give me some Sucker Punch. Those are good films.
Yeah.
They're good films. Anyone?
Sorry, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, the Tarantino film is a good film. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I would check it out. It's long, and it's not really...
Like a Tarantino
It's
film.
not in a hurry. It's got some completely unnecessary scenes, and some that go on probably a bit long, but it doesn't drag, because, it's just Tarantino. But I would warn you, because I'm pretty sure there were some people in the audience that didn't know the history of the Manson family and Sharon Tate at all.
Right.
If you don't know what happened, brush up a little bit, because it won't make any fucking sense, I don't think, if you don't already know.
Oh, really?
I think. Yeah, if you don't know the absolute basics, then it's going to be quite confusing, I think.
Oh, okay. That's a weird one. I mean, that sometimes happens, doesn't it? But not that common. Normally they pick a certain thread and follow that rather than giving you the whole picture.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes sit weirdly. But
yeah. Well, I won't. Yeah.
All right.
Can't spoil anything, but I would have at least a cursory knowledge of what happened to Sharon Tate.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to drag Noom to that one. I don't think he's much of a Tarantino fan. So
fair enough. It's just Brad Pitt being super charming, and and DiCaprio as well.
The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Films
section done.
Oh, I watched The Cat Returns. That's what we did as well.
What's that?
It's a Ghibli film.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's really good. I love it. I mean, it was one of the few Ghibli films I saw near to when it came out because it was on Sky one day.
Is this a recent one then?
No, it's 2003.
Oh, right.
Something like that.
Oh, wow. That's like Spirited Away kind of time.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was a few years after. Well, it might have been fairly similar. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it was one of the ones I remember catching as watching the dub on Sky.
Yeah,
when I was pretty young, and I remember coming away from that being super confused at first because I'd missed the start and being like, "What is going on?" And then by the end of it, being like, "Okay, that was pretty rad. That was quite funny." So we watched it with the Japanese, and it's like, "Yeah, that film's pretty rad. I like it a lot." It's quite short. It's barely over an hour, but it's a fun time. It's a fun time. It's one of those. I quite like it when Ghibli does this stuff. Where they set up worlds, but they don't feel the need like a lot of anime to go and explain absolutely everything that's going on in the world. It's just it just is. Roll with it. It's the other side of anime, right? But not as far as Raz F-on. We don't explain anything.
I don't know if they didn't necessarily explain everything. I think the thing about Ghibli, I feel, when they don't explain things, is it's more
it's whimsy.
They're doing it just for weird looking stuff happening. That's just it's just happening. You don't need to worry about why or anything. It just looks cool.
Yeah, just roll with it. It's cool.
They just want to make fancy animations.
I think it's a bit more than that, but yeah. There's a certain, in a weird way, there's a certain simplicity to The Cat Returns that's quite nice compared to some other Ghibli stuff. It's even though there's magic and talking cats and a whole cat kingdom, and Tim Curry in the dub. Yeah. It's pretty good. Recommend. And while I'm on the anime front, I got caught up with Attack on Titan season 3, and I have to wait until the end of next year for the next season, which I'm pretty annoyed about because it's so good. Oh my gosh! And they said the next season is going to be the last as well, and it's no. Don't tell me it's going to be the last. Just end.
Right.
I don't want to know if it's the last season.
Does it feel like it's coming to a good...
No!
No. Okay.
Which means this next season is going to be quite rapid.
Probably a rush job, yeah. It's like... It's one of those... Hey, it's taken us like 58 episodes or whatever, but the world has literally just opened up.
Oh, okay. And literally, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, you know, the moment we've just got out of the tutorial, kind of. And it's like, yeah, now here comes the rest of it. And it's like, then I saw the thing about it being the next season being the last. And I'm like, but.
I mean, there are ways that you can wrap the shit up real quickly in that kind of essence, where you think you've just got through the tutorial and you're about to discover what's going on, and then you discover what's going on, and it's just like not as important as you thought it was. That's sort of one of the ways you can do it.
Like, yeah, probably. It'll probably be like that. It'll probably be a twist or something. I mean, it's already been fairly twisty, and there's been some, let's call them plot MacGuffins, which like made the somewhat. I mean, the last 3 episodes of the season were basically a bit of an exposition dump, as is anime sometimes.
What do you mean plot MacGuffin?
They have a flashback episode.
I mean, like plot MacGuffin, as in like something, a mysterious thing or power or magic occurs that reveals things to the cast. Then suddenly the nature of the world is explained. You know, that's what I mean by a plot MacGuffin. Is like there's a little bit of like. Oh, hey, the Titans can do this.
Just like a device. Oh, hey, or something.
Certain Titans have this thing that has for some reason only now become a thing.
Yeah.
And that conveniently explains a lot. Because we had to wrap this up. That's what it feels like a little bit. It's like we had to speed this up a little bit, so hey.
Skip to the end.
Yeah. You now know everything, kind of thing. And you're a little bit like, well, why didn't this come into effect a lot sooner? This would have made this whole thing a lot less cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, love that show. It's so good. Not quite Bebop good, but you know.
No.
For a long runner. I suppose 50 episodes isn't all that
yeah,
all that
not
long.
Really for an anime.
Yeah.
I don't know if Cowboy Bebop is kind of, I really like it, but I don't know if it's because it's a bit. Is it like a
it's
light?
More style over
is it
substance.
A light? That yeah, but is it like so Western that? But it isn't though, is it? But I'm just wondering if I like it because it's not as Japanese.
I think there's something
crazy
to that. I think it's
others.
Yeah, I think it's Japan trying to do the West.
Do you
right?
think?
Which I do enjoy as well.
I think that's kind of a cool blend. Yeah,
there's an oddness to it that I really dig. Because Trigun's that as well, right? It's like it's Japan trying to be the Wild West, which is odd,
right? Which is weird,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, I was watching another anime that was just popped up on Netflix that my flatmate was watching. It looks like the animation style looks quite similar to Cowboy Bebop, but it didn't seem. But it was like canon something.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I'm like, yeah, I think I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, not convinced.
Tip of the tongue.
But that was like Wild Westy, but with giant laser
Pretty
robots.
New, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brand new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to bother me. Yeah, I think I spotted that.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, it's not quite grabbing me.
Anime is one of those things where I'd really like to watch a lot more of it, but oh my gosh, the time.
Oh, I know.
It's like, anime requires time. And I spend that time playing games. Hey, by the way, games.
Oh, video games.
Because the section's gone on for a while, and we've got quite a bit to talk about this week.
Shit.
Well, in news, I don't know about games.
Oh, well, I've got quite a bit to talk about because I've been jumping between games.
Well, that's true.
I've not sunk into it.
Yeah, but have you sunk anything into them enough to talk about? That's the question.
Well,
briefly.
We'll find out later.
That is a question for later, but for now, it's news. What's been going on in the world of video games?
Gamescom.
Indeed. What's happened at Gamescom?
Stuff.
Some stuff.
German stuff happened.
German things have happened.
German things happened. Yeah, there's some things. Xbox showed up. And Jeff Keighley did a show. And Nintendo coincidentally put out an indie showcase.
As they.
As is their want.
Yeah.
To put out a video at the exact same time as.
Yeah, it happened.
A given thing. Yeah.
I would say that because the Xbox thing was an inside Xbox show, that it wasn't very good. I mean, it's, sort of well crafted, I suppose, but they didn't really have a lot to say. I think Microsoft are just putting the brakes on hard until next consoles. But
really,
yeah, I don't know. They're just not saying a lot right now. It's they didn't really have a lot to say. They're just Gears, and here's some third-party games. Here's Destiny 2, and here's FIFA, and
wow.
So we're in the kind of you can get elsewhere. It's they didn't talk about really any of their own indie stuff. Idea Xbox didn't really show up, and it's where the hell's Tunic, guys? Come on.
Do you think we're in the kind of lull phase before the next generation now?
I think we're here. I think Sony. That's why Sony aren't doing a lot right now.
They're not doing anything either.
I think we've hit the lull a lot earlier than we normally would see it. Because what have we got left? Death Stranding is kind of the next big thing from Sony, right? But it's not even really from Sony particularly.
Last of Us 2?
Yeah, but that's I would wager that's going to probably be delayed right up until
the launch.
PS5 launch now.
Yeah, it could be.
I read that supposedly Death Stranding is no longer labelled as an exclusive on the PS4. Supposedly.
Oh, interesting. What? So I imagine we'll get a PC version.
Yeah, I mean that would be the only logical thing that could mean.
I reckon so. If Sony paid for a year-long timed exclusive or something, which seems to be quite common now,
based on one certain company.
One certain company? Oh right. It
seems to be quite common now because this one guy is doing it continuously.
Well, they did. I mean, I think of Tomb Raider. That did timed exclusives on Xbox.
And I guess Call of Duty isn't exactly the same.
No, they have a week.
Yeah, they do a kind of exclusive and maybe some DLC exclusivity.
They have a little bit, but not a lot. I think Destiny had some exclusive stuff as well. But yeah, it's they're working that at the moment. I think we're there. I think we're. The PC scene might be next year's scene at this point. There's quite a lot of 2020 games, in fairness, but a lot of them are the smaller third-party titles. There's no big first-party heavy hitters really, apart from maybe Nintendo.
Well, yeah,
with Animal Crossing.
They don't have any problems with their continuing to make games.
Yeah, because they're in
the middle of their cycle.
But when? Yeah, no one knows when Breath of the Wild Part 2 is, or whatever it's called. Breath of the Wild.
Although the fact that they announced it at all infers that it's
probably not too far away.
Yeah, a couple of years maybe.
I reckon, at most. Ninty aren't known for their super long, dragged out.
No.
Other than Metroid 4.
Well, that's because they had to reset that completely, right?
Yeah. They should do for Pokemon, but they're not.
No, that's never going to happen.
So are you officially in the hater camp now?
It's clearly a DS game, isn't it? Or a 3DS game?
Yeah, that is what it seems to be. I did see the little bit of when the Pokemon Company did their little bit of video that they released around the same time as Gamescom. See what was up with that. And then they walked around a town for a while and was like, here's where the Pokemon Center is, and it looks like this in this game. And it was yep, that's sure is Pokemon.
Here's a TV that looks like an apple.
Might as well. You can get on a train, because I guess that's an English thing. You don't have to use Pokemon to fly everywhere.
It's quite a Japanese thing as well.
Yeah, that too.
True. Very true.
Is the train on time?
Yeah, that's the question.
Because if it's not, then that's an English thing.
Yeah, that should be how that should work. You should be able to try and get on a train, and then not be able to actually get on a train, and have to get on a bus instead.
Yeah. That would be British.
That would be excellent. They should definitely put that in there. Someone should make a game. Someone should make a game called Bus Replacement Service.
Rail Replacement Bus
Service. That would just simulator. It would just have to be a DLC for Train Simulator, where they just randomly put in buses.
I get the feeling that might have happened.
Probably.
What, Rail Replacement Bus Simulator?
Yeah. Or it was part of Trainworks or something, or whatever that super expensive one is.
So anyway, Gamescom stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. Xbox was showing Gears 5 was their big thing basically, and it's Horde mode's back, and I've not been too impressed. I've never really got into Gears Horde. even though it's like the Horde mode.
Yeah,
like but
the original,
the
Herd mode,
the Herd mode is or Horde mode. Is it's never quite done it for me. It's too long term, and they specifically, the games are too long if you're good, and it's to the point where they like pick that out in one of their sort of like things. Like, how do we make Horde mode interesting for 3 hours? And I'm like, you don't.
You make it not 3 hours.
Yeah, you've failed at this before, and like I know some people are really into it, and I guess the same crowd that might like Call of Duty Zombies and their long ass games. Maybe they're into it too, but I'm not. Give me shorter bursts of it, because like those arenas and those mechanics, at least in Gears 4, especially in Gears 4, they don't hold my attention for long enough to make this work. Maybe it's better if you've got a crew of people that you're playing with, I suppose, because you're probably just chatting rather than paying attention to the game if you're good enough to last that long. So it becomes a bit of a social thing, but yeah, I don't know. Not for me. They were showing that you can play as Jack, the bot thing, the flying robot friend.
Oh yeah, that thing.
There's a role for that if you want to play as him.
Oh, weird.
And be like a support
drone thing.
So that's kind of vaguely interesting for one player. And that the characters, what character you pick is now important because the characters have ultimates.
Naturally.
So, making it a hero shooter. But yeah, I'm yet to see anything particularly compelling gameplay-wise from the campaign, because they showed like a campaign trailer that focused on story again. But I don't think at any point for this game, like, we've seen any gameplay for the story. Like, none. Like, Gears 4, I think, opened with some story gameplay. I think that was how we first were introduced to Gears 4.
Right.
But
yeah, it was. Yeah,
tornado thing.
Yeah, it was that kind of weird bridge thing. Yeah,
and there was the bit where they were first encountering whatever the new locust are.
Punch the goop bags.
I can't remember what they're even called. The new locusts that are obviously just a locust. It was. But there's something odd. There's something unsettling about that. Like, I guess the gameplay we've seen is them with that weird, not hoverboard, but sort of waterboard windsurf thing. Because I assume that's gameplay. So I'm a bit nervous about that. Because that was... Gears 4 was alright, but it was just uninteresting. With the best bit being Marcus Phoenix's house being destroyed and him complaining about his tomatoes. I just realised I said tomatoes.
Yeah.
He probably says tomatoes.
Yeah, tomatoes. My tomatoes.
I mean, let's call the whole thing off.
Might as well. You big tomato. So I don't know. If that's all they've got right now, that's concerning. So that was Microsoft. I don't really want to talk more about Microsoft. They've just got nothing going on. And Age of Empires, I suppose. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition.
Oh, how many times are they
the 4K version?
They already announced that.
Yeah.
They already announced that,
but it's like out soon. Yeah. Like really soon. Of course, they've got no Forza to talk about, have they? Like,
yeah, but this isn't E3 though.
No. But they've got no, because there's no Forza this year.
Well, it was the Lego thing at E3. That was their Forza for the year.
Pretty much. Jeff Keighley was hosting Opening Night Live at Gamescom with his usual Jeff Keighley vibe, which is pretty great. But it meant he had some stuff to show. I don't know what was interesting primarily to you guys, but I quite like the intrigue factor of Disintegration.
Sure.
I'm interested. It's like I'm not entirely sure it showed as interesting as the actual concept is. If you see what I mean from that trailer, it's like you're like, okay, some background. It's made by the guy, one of the co-creators of Halo, and his new team V1. I think it is V1 Interactive. And so the visuals and vibe are very Halo and very Destiny, but the gameplay seems quite a different thing. And that you're a grav cycle pilot who
Right.
So you're doing sort of like bombing runs and shooting at things from afar, whilst also strategically controlling a squad that's on the ground, and that squad appears to be of different units and like a mech and some dudes. And how does that work? What is it?
Yeah, it's not the average shooter.
No, it's not.
Controls or what? Yeah.
And he's got some pedigree and he's clearly using it, and it's so color me interested. A world premiere at Gamescom. World premiere.
Got to use that pedigree.
Yep.
You got a cupboard full of pedigree.
I've got a cupboard full of it. I'm a chum of pedigree.
Try and chum it up.
Yeah, so I thought that looked pretty good.
Cool.
They look kind of interesting.
We shall see.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good luck to them.
Yeah.
Generic shooter it isn't.
I'm sure Zach is. What is he? I don't know. Kebal Space Program 2. Give us your thoughts. What's your hot take?
Well, it was a good trailer, at least.
Yeah, it was a good trailer.
It's an excellent trailer.
Well, the thing is, though, that trailer is basically a remake of a fan trailer for Kebal Space Program 1.
So I found out, yeah. But that's fine. That's them embracing it, I guess.
But it's also kind of like it's them embracing it by completely stealing that guy's idea.
Is that who they credited at the end of it?
Yes, that is that guy.
Oh, okay. So that's fine then, because they're like...
I mean, they gave credit. They didn't just totally nick his idea and just say that they just made a trailer.
No, they probably put it specifically... They probably asked the guy and said, can we do this? And they could have not mentioned it. Yeah. And then, of course, the community would have gone,
noticed.
You stole that guy's stuff. And it's like... And then the guy would have to defend it and be like, yeah, no, I gave him my blessing and all that.
So that was
but it's still rad. It's an excellent trailer.
There are a couple of things that I have reservations about. The first thing is that I hear they're still using Unity, which was
really?
One of the major problems with KSP1 when they moved to Unity. They had a whole heap of trouble with that engine. Apparently one of the main problems with Unity is it still basically uses physics, which is not the best physics engine ever at this point.
No, there are better ones, but it's one of the easier ones to use.
Well, sure, which is why it's in Unity.
Yeah.
So that's slightly, I've seen the few seconds of actual pre-alpha gameplay they showed. And
is there some gameplay?
Yeah. Oh, is there?
Obviously, it doesn't look as good as the trailer. Obviously.
No, but
you take that trailer and you take KSP1 and you go in the middle and then you go this is just a normal modern game. And that's pretty much what that...
But that's kind of fine, because that's like Kerbal has suffered over the years, now, really. Yeah. When you look at it, and when we were playing it for the Apollo 11 thing, it's like, yeah, this is dated now.
I mean, they have done the recent texture updates in that game, which has helped quite a lot. Actually, I guess it's texture and model. They have up the detail somewhat, even in the first game.
Oh, sure. It's a step above what it started at.
Yeah, well, obviously,
for sure.
Back in the alphas.
Yeah.
But then the other problem, which may or may not be that important, is the developer.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
So what's the deal?
Well, the first thing that I wanted to say, which isn't actually the developer, it's the publisher, but I finally have a handle on this after we are confused by it every single time. Private Division.
Yeah.
The publisher. Okay.
It's a subsidiary of Take-Two.
Take-Two is the overarching company.
Yeah.
Take-Two, then below them, has Rockstar and 2K and Private Division.
Mm-hmm.
These are the three separate things. It's not 2K Private Division, it's Rockstar, 2K, and then Private Division alongside them.
Yeah, so it's Take-Two's.
Take-Two is the overarching one, and then Private Division is basically like their indie publishing arm, essentially.
Yeah.
They publish the smaller things. So that we finally got that sorted out.
It's their more experimental branch.
Which is why, you've got Outer Worlds and all that stuff with Private Division logos on them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now this finally makes sense.
They've been busy.
Yeah, they've done. There was another game in Opening Night Live. Wasn't it Disintegration was Private Division, right?
It was indeed.
So yes, they've got a lot of stuff going on. But the developer is the weird part, which is Star Theory, which is just Uber Entertainment.
Yeah. Well, why have they got a different name?
Because they don't want to be remembered as Uber Entertainment any longer, probably.
I guess.
After the several fiascos towards the end of that.
Yeah, and the planetary annihilation nonsense.
Yep. So, Uber Entertainment don't really have a good track record.
They still bum me out.
Monday Night Combat was great.
Yeah.
Everything after that, not really good.
It bums me out because I wonder if they had if it's one of these companies that just had an exodus of employees at some point.
Yeah.
Right? The guys that made Monday Night Combat aren't
I mean, I feel like that was
team anymore.
What happened towards the end of the Planetary Annihilation situation, because they had like the Kickstarter for it, and then they had that whole situation where the DLC became a standalone product, and then they like delisted the original on Steam because of money or something.
Yeah, that happened.
I'm pretty sure that was because they needed money and like the studio was getting fucked up.
Yeah,
and then you thought they shut down, but they didn't apparently.
It's such a surprising bummer as well, isn't it? Just because Monday Night Combat was so good, and Super Monday Night Combat went in the MOBA direction, which wasn't a bad play. And I for what little I've played of Super Monday Night Combat, it was okay as one of those. It wasn't a bad shooter MOBA, but it was in a very crowded space.
Yep.
And it wasn't Monday Night Combat.
No.
It had some serious problems. And since then, they've just not been... And also, for the record, we've repeatedly got it confused and called them Sumo in the past.
I think you have.
Yeah, no, I definitely have, yeah. Getting confused with Sumo... Well, I knew they were separate from Sumo Digital, who are the Sega guys. Or they're not strictly Sega guys, but they work a lot with Sega a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, not them. Sumo are all right.
So yeah, I don't know how that will affect anything to do with Kebal Space Program. I mean, judging by what we've seen of that game, it looks like it is just pretty much they're just remaking Kebal Space Program 1 and then adding stuff to it. It doesn't really look like a new game as such.
Yeah,
I mean, presumably they can take all of the tech behind it and just rewrap it, right? At this point. And
well, I mean, and then that's another kind
like
of
new UIs and
where you're worrying
new
about the engine situation.
Yeah,
I kind of hope they did mostly rebuild it, because the amount of trouble that Squad originally had with the Unity transfer at the time, because KSP1 is like they had the problems with the physics engine, the multi-threading was a pain in the ass, and they never really got that working right. It's like, I kind of hope that maybe if Uber is a slightly better developer, what's left of Uber is a slightly better development team, they can, and maybe with some help from private divisions, overarching whatever, maybe they can make a better base engine.
What are you thinking? Like, could you shift to Unreal? Is that what you mean, or is that even Unreal 2?
Well, I don't know if they necessarily do need to abandon Unity. They just need to like have another go from scratch, almost. Like, just do it better.
Isn't that what they're doing, though?
I mean,
it's hard to tell at the moment.
I mean, right. Isn't Unity, or isn't any modern engine like flexible enough where they could just ditch the physics part of it and just
plug in
slap their own engine in?
I mean, that's what I would also hope. Just put something in there. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, from what you can see of the alpha footage and, the fancied up stuff that they show in there, you can see, like, well, I mean, for a start, you can see, like, all the parts of KSP1. It's like, oh, yeah, that's that bit, that's that bit. The lander that they show right at the start lands on the moon, that is made almost entirely from stock KSP1 parts, but with fancy new textures. And it's also pretty much the exact same design as is used in the fan video, but in the fan video, it's at the end rather than the start.
Right.
Oh.
It's like, that is literally the same ship.
So, when have they announced? What did they give a release date for? Or is it just like
2020? It's like going to come out next year, and it's not even in alpha yet.
Huh? That doesn't seem far enough away.
No, and also they've already said certain things like multiplayer, which was a big thing that the community kept bitching at Squad for ages in KSP1, and they're like,
but that's hard.
That's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard in Kebal Space Program, because how do you even make that work conceptually in the game? In a game where you're spending a lot of time warping, for example.
Yeah, and
right.
Maintaining physics simulation across multiple persons' perspectives.
Physics across a multiplayer game is notoriously awful.
Yeah.
Unless you're Crackdown 3 and using the power of the cloud.
So maybe who knows how that would work?
Yeah,
Levolution.
And
anyone remember Levolution?
And then they're also like, now we're going interstellar in the Kerbal thing. So if you're talking about time warp, now you're getting time warp between like star distances. I mean, obviously we scaled down for the Kerbal universe, I'm sure, but that's a lot of time warp.
Yeah,
even with fancy, ridiculous Orion engines and whatnot.
It's got the stupid nuclear bomb pusher plate thing.
It sure has got the Orion engine.
That's pretty stupid.
It's very Kerbal, though.
It's very Kerbal.
It's the most realistic tech that's also Kerbal tech.
Nuclear bomb pusher plate.
Yeah, so you just have there's a concept for going very fast
that they came up in the
interstellar
70s.
Distances that you could actually do with current technology, or at least 70s technology, which would just have, I don't know how you get it up there, but just have a giant plate of metal basically on springs, and then just eject nuclear bombs through the middle of it and blow them up and push.
You just ride the shot.
Okay.
And just keep doing that until you get faster and faster.
Because you're not going to slow down.
Unless you turn around and do it the other way, as you approach.
You'd have to nuke in front of you.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Anyway, but it's something that could actually be done.
I guess, yeah. We make that many nukes.
But that is definitely a Kerbal style thing. But then they've also got, fusion engines that you can see in the trailer and other stuff. So, the developer interview that they did afterwards, they did say that, they're not going sci-fi, they're still going theoretical physics. So it's not like warp drives, it's still fusion engines and Orion drives. It's they're theoretically possible, rather than completely sci-fi for the Kerbal universe. But yeah, new planets and shit, that'll be interesting at least.
New challenges.
Yeah. But maybe not really that much different. I mean, the colony building thing, I guess, is the main other, also very difficult thing that they've given themselves to do.
I mean, if it means you can have different landing platforms and different launch platforms.
I mean, technically you kind of can do that in base Kerbal once they gave you the ability to do that. There's a couple of different launch sites on Kerbin, and I think there's one on the moon, but I'm not sure they ever enabled that one in the base game. But yeah, I mean, actually being able to build your own launch site, that's a different matter. That would be definitely more interesting. Give you some options of where you want to launch from. And if you can, also orbital construction would be the other way that would be interesting. If they let you have a launch site that's already in orbit, that you can maybe supply materials to and then just build a ship there, that would definitely be interesting. And then the colony, they've already said various things about the colony acquiring rare resources that you can't get anywhere else, depending on what planet you're on, and that kind of thing, for making different types of fuel. And that was definitely a thing that KSP-1 had, it sort of implemented a system that never went anywhere. Because they made a mining system where you can scan the planet and it will show you the ore resource, and it shows you how dense it is, and then you can scan down and find a good mining site and then drop a thing with a mining drill and refine it into fuel. But it was ore was the only resource. That was the only thing they ever did with that system.
Right.
So it never really got more complicated than that. You just mine the ore and it turns into fuel, and that's it. So if they do sort of expand that whole system to make it more important of landing in specific locations and stuff.
So it became a resource management / factory game.
Well, sure. But I'm not sure they need to do actual logistics. It can still be Kerbal where you can just transfer fuel between tanks and it's just there's pipes in there somewhere.
Yeah, just do it.
So we'll see about that.
Okay. So you're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. It does seem quite
I'm glad
a fast announcement to release, but I mean, maybe they've been working on it for ages.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, who knows? It's been a while since Kerbal 1. How long has it been since a proper update?
Well, it's not actually. It's only been a few months since the last DLC came out.
Right, and but do we know that's being developed by Squad still?
Well, I mean that part is the remains of Squad, because Squad already dissolved basically, didn't they? Because they got half of them went to Valve.
I didn't realise Squad dissolved.
Well, not really dissolved. Half of them went to Valve.
A
while ago,
as you do.
Yeah, then they'd never make a game again.
Yep.
Yeah, they're probably behind that summer sale game.
But then, what was left of Squad under Private Division were making the DLCs for KSP-1.
Right, I see. So they must have. But they must have moved to Uber, right? That
yeah, but the buyout, the Take-Two buyout of Kebal Space Program when they went to Private Division, that wasn't that long ago either. So if you assume that they could only have possibly started working on this game when that buyout happened, then it hasn't really been that long.
So the cynic in you is like, this is literally just a rewrap with some new features.
Yeah.
And maybe a new graphics face.
Yeah.
A slightly different graphics face, but everything else is underneath is the same.
A slightly less indie version of that same game, essentially.
Right. Yeah, I can see it. It doesn't fill me with a huge amount of confidence.
I mean, as long as it runs better.
Not that non-indie is bad. They Private Division or their subsidiaries, or maybe even Uber or Star Theory themselves, like they probably have a little bit of experience with optimizing that maybe Squad didn't have.
As a pure indie startup building this first game,
I mean,
that somehow worked.
I mean, what are we talking like? Uber's like what, 10 years old now?
For at least
as a studio, so like, yeah.
But then again, what have they worked on recently?
Apparently, they made some other games according to their Wikipedia entry. But
I think Planetary Annihilation was the most recent because I think the game after that got cancelled.
Oh, did it? Oh, that might explain it. Okay. Alrighty then. So Kebal Space Program 2.
But it's a great trailer.
It's a fan-freaking-tastic trailer of the year.
Trailer.
It's a fan trailer.
Yeah, awesome.
If I think it's highly unlikely we're going to see a better trailer this year, though. Even though it was an old fan trailer and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably.
There's
not many more opportunities for trailers at this point, I guess.
No. I mean, Xbox might show us something at XO 19, maybe.
Or maybe something in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
like for example, a Mario game.
Mario. Yeah, let's just skip to that, shall we?
Because it's not really related to Gamescom, really.
No, but Nintendo put out a tweet with Mario on a beach wearing Hawaiian gear. Is he eating or is he just drinking from a melon?
Watermelon.
He's eating watermelon. And what was the word of the tweet?
They used the word sunshine in the tweet at some point.
So,
which is about as subtle as it gets with tweets, really.
How do we feel about a Mario Sunshine 2?
I mean, that would be fine, probably. I mean, the real question is whether it is. I mean, they could just as easily make a DLC for Odyssey that has some sunshine.
That's true.
But they sort of already had like their beach.
Sure, they had their beach level, and you could already buy the not sunshine outfit in Odyssey.
I mean, the word Odyssey is in the tweet.
Well, I mean, sure, but that's the other game. That's not a surprise.
Odyssey and Sunshine.
Even Mario needs a little #summer vacation. No matter where your summer Odyssey took you, we hope it was filled with sunshine, and the sunshine is bolded.
Very subtle. So I don't know. That could just be a DLC, but I mean, if they're making Breath of the Wild 2, why not Odyssey 2?
I mean, why not anything at this point? Nintendo just prints money, so it doesn't matter.
And I mean, Odyssey 2 would be... I mean, if we ignore the fact that if they want to do full sunshine, they're going to have to include different mechanics from Odyssey, I guess.
Right.
But if we ignore that, it is just like more levels in the Odyssey engine.
But you could just add Flood to Odyssey, potentially.
Yeah, you could. If you want. That could just be a DLC where you just replace Cappy with Flood for a while.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. I mean,
he's not wearing his cap.
No, it's true. He's sitting next to his hat, and the hat doesn't have eyes.
The hat does not have eyes.
Mm.
Him and Cappy have parted ways. They said some things.
I don't even remember what happened at the end of Odyssey with Cappy. You just pretty much.
They just sort of go, "Hey, why should we stop now?" Isn't that kind of how it ends?
I guess the end sequence doesn't really involve Cappy. You see him for a minute and with Tiara, and then that's it. And then he's just like, well, let's just go to the Mushroom Kingdom and do stuff.
Yeah.
The game just carries on at that point.
That's pretty much how it ends, isn't it? It's just like, yeah, why stop now? Let's go, let's keep exploring.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a very subtle, unsubtle hint. Where it's just like, if you're going to make it theoretically that obvious, then just announce it. But if you've made that tweet that looks like it's announcing something, but it totally isn't, then you've made a horrible mistake.
Or not. It's Nintendo. They can get away with anything.
Well, sure. I'm sure people don't actually care about Twitter in the end.
Except everyone. Because otherwise this conversation would be a thing. Oh no, apologies. You of course, like Sunshine wasn't bolded. It was because it was a part of my search as I was looking at it.
I see.
Is it capitalized?
No.
Okay then.
Right.
There was that. So what else happened? Let's recap our notes. Jeff Keighley was very excited about Everspace 2.
Sure.
It was like because he sort of made a bit of a big deal of it because he was sort of sitting there going like, every now and then there's a trailer that just blows you away. So I'll have a look at this. I was very impressed. I think he might have been playing up the German factor because I think they're German developers.
Okay,
but hey, it actually did look kind of good, like as a sort of space shooter.
Yeah, but space shooters can always look good.
Well, yeah.
Whether they actually function as a decent game, that's the problem.
I mean, that's the problem with every game ever.
Yeah, but it's particularly bad for space shooters. Like, it's easy to spend a lot of graphics budget making space look good because there's a lot of nothing in it a lot of the time.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I suppose the models you do have can have super high detail lighting on them and things like that because there's a lot of absence.
But the actual mechanics of the game is the more difficult part. How realistic do you go with physics or not?
I would get side on not.
Well, yeah,
to be honest, if you're going to make a fun game, space physics kind of suck for the most part. You got to make it fly nice. You got to make it satisfying explosions that you can hear. So there's that. They're also rebooting Comanche.
I don't think that counts as a reboot.
It's a reboot.
They're just using the name in a game that's about helicopters. So I don't know if you call that a reboot of the Comanche series.
I suppose it's not a campaign per se. It's like it's a multiplayer-focused thing.
Yeah.
It also has drones. Drone warfare fights.
Just a type of helicopter, I suppose.
I suppose so.
Just a lot more blades.
Easy target. Or maybe not.
Shoot blades.
They're a bit smaller on the drones, aren't they?
Shoot blades.
So we should shoot the blades. It's the easy one. Aim for the engines.
I've got rollers. I don't know, it's just weird that exists. It's just odd.
Yeah, it is just the name, though, isn't it? Right? Yeah,
it can't possibly be no the logic
anymore.
No,
exactly.
The developers of that. Interesting.
Might as well call it World of Helicopters.
Everyone loves helicopters.
Everyone loves helicopters. What else we got? Let's talk about Death Stranding. They showed us a bit. They showed us a little bit of
sort of gameplay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the kind of gameplay that we were hoping for, the walking around gameplay, not the weird stealth running away from an ambush gameplay.
I mean, is it? Like, I'm still confused about exactly what that is, what this game is. It's like, is this all it is? And that it's like, it's clearly not all it is.
Traversing
but it's like, is it a Breath of the Wild but less interesting? I don't know.
That's kind of, yeah.
Just with a bonkers ass story wrapped around it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we learnt that Jeff Keighley's in the game, at least in model form.
Because there's like in Metal Gear Solid 5, it's obviously a big open world with like a lot of terrain to navigate and stuff. But then it's got it's a stealth sandbox with awesome bases and like loads of patrol routes and all kinds of opportunities and crazy vehicles and all kinds of opportunities for fun gameplay and stuff. Whereas this sort of seems quite empty, except for these like outposts that we've seen, I suppose.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we've only really seen these little houses. I mean, that little bunker, and then when he's inside, we don't really see how he got to those inside areas in the sort of cutscenes we've seen.
No, exactly,
because they showed both. As I say, they focused on Mama and Deadman for the sort of intro cutscenes. It's like, it seems like if that was the intro to Deadman, then it's like, oh, clearly these guys know each other prior to the game beginning and things like that, and it was more of an intro to bridge baby, I guess, and what he's about, or teaching us what he's about. If it's a he, I don't know. Can't really see. They kind of darken out the gender era. But it's I don't know. We just don't know. I just still don't know. Even though it feels like we've now had quite a lot of information about Death Stranding, I still don't know.
Maybe that's on purpose.
Yeah,
they're just trying to keep it close to their chest. And they don't seem to be worried that just showing fairly basic stuff is gonna put people off.
No, so. I think after Metal Gear 5, I think a little bit is like, actually, the sort of like wandering around the world was kind of actually the good part of this game, because your story kind of is nuts, which is great, but kind of falls apart too easily, really, under scrutiny. And it was clearly not finished, or you just left everything in because, hey, that's what you paid the actors to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of in because of the story is still nuts enough that I want to know what they do with it, and I'm more interested in like what's going on with Mads Mikkelsen more than anyone else. It's like, come on, what are you up to? And is Troy Baker's like evil soldier role actually quite small in the grand scheme of things? And actually, how big is this game? We do no real concept of that, because we seem to be seeing the same sort of. Okay, we've seen a little bit more areas in the montagey trailers that we've seen, but so far the major bits of gameplay we've seen, or the more significant bits of gameplay we've seen, have been in this green mountainous area. And it's like, is that the majority of the game?
I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah,
that's just all they're showing.
Yeah, it's still a huge question mark. Huge question mark. A Kojima-shaped question mark. And is his logo actually important?
It's in the
game,
which is weird.
Like in the game world, is that meaningful, or is it just, hey, we're just slapping this everywhere? Just is this him like saying this is a Kojima game everywhere?
Yeah, you're not gonna write me out of the credits this time. I'm gonna put it in every texture.
My logo is everywhere, yo. Yeah, I'm still relatively. I'm still. Well, how can you not be interested in this? It's so nuts.
Yeah.
What else we got? They've got the Nintendo Indie World thing. Also happened. I'm interested in Shinnen's new joint because I like what they did with fast racing.
Even though it's totally unrelated.
It's completely different. Yeah. It's like a crossy road voxel-styled vacation puzzle game? Captain Toad-like? I don't know. It's kind of cool looking. And it had, like, perhaps overly funky music for the setting, which means they probably kept their music guy from Fast Racing on team. And he's like, what can you do? Well, I can do this. All right, then. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
I mean, it's hard. I think it's hard to demo a game like that in a trailer because it's hard to get across puzzles and things like that, or a general vibe of if you're going for an atmospheric-y sort of thing. But hey, it looked kind of cool, and Shinnen, I think, do good things. So
yeah, defo. I think it looks intriguing.
Yeah.
I
definitely want to see how it plays out, and it's out not that long from now, so
it's cool when their developers like, oh, let's try something else.
Yeah.
And
a little nod to Fast in there as well.
Yeah,
and it's
with the arcade machine, that was cool.
Yeah, it's also good that I don't know, they're keeping their relationship with Nintendo fairly strong.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I don't think they've released anywhere else. I think pretty much all their stuff has come out on
Ninty stuff
on Nintendo. As far as I know. What else did we have there is interesting? Witcher Switch looks pretty. The Switcher looks.
The Switcher.
It looks pretty rough, man.
Yeah, must be so hard to get that running.
Pare a game down like that. Put it in potato mode, and just.
It was quite hard to get running on the consoles, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Just getting anything working looks that engine was so demanding.
Yeah, not that optimized.
No.
It got better. Obviously, they worked on it. I don't know what it'll be like for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk Switch Edition. We just decided not to texture anything.
Yeah.
It actually ended up looking like super hot.
Now you do wireframe mode. So how you go real Cyberpunk.
Nice, yeah. I mean, I installed these special eyes, and now this is how I see the world.
Yeah.
Super hot's coming on Switch. There you go. Speak that in there.
It's got to come to every platform, right?
Yep, it's not on everything yet. I'm surprised it's taken them this long to get it on Switch, to be honest. The Switch. I don't know what else you want to pick out from the Indie World thing, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of like that sort of like vaguely interesting category more than like super amazing looking stuff. Like we learnt that Spiritfarer, I guess, is coming to Switch and isn't just an Xbox thing, even though it was shown at Xbox at E3. We might not have learnt that. That might have already been known, but hey, that was how it was. You know, it was shown at Xbox before, and now it was shown on console. And I didn't realise it was. Well, we got to see a little bit more, I suppose, in that little montagey bit, that it's more than just the boat from that Xbox trailer.
I mean, sure. If it was the boat, it would be quite small.
It could have been like a Night in the Woods style, I suppose, like conversation-a-thon.
Yeah, it could have been. Although they did show a little bit of off the boat stuff in the Xbox one.
They did, yeah. Well, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Creature in the Well showed up very briefly. That's out real soon. Get hype. Get possibly hype for pinball swordplay. Pinball swordplay!
Oh, yeah.
And I don't really know what else to pick out from it, really. Ori and the Blind Forest, which I think... I'm not sure about this one. I think it had been heavily rumoured to be coming to Switch. This was the game that was like leading some of the like, hey, Xbox on Switch discussions. But I don't think it's actually been confirmed as being happening. Yeah. But now, yeah, it's definitely happening.
Full trailer, yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting from the trailer that, okay, maybe, like, it doesn't look like they've had to take many graphical concessions, like dropping it down on the Switch, because it's, okay, yeah, it's not like one of these, like, super 3D games, but there's a lot going on in, like, the visuals of Ori. It's like, I imagine there's some power required to do some of what it's doing. But I wondered if, like, the trailer was, at least in that Indie World thing, was presented at 30 frames, and maybe that's the concession they've had to make. Like, I don't remember, was there much else in that Nintendo video running at 60? Or was it just the way it was broadcast? I mean, it might get away with running at 30, but it was nice running at 60. But yeah, I can't be mad at this. That game deserves a bit more. I think that game's always deserved more attention than it got, because it's friggin' excellent. And now it may get some. Just in time for the sequel. Actually, that's what Xbox has got, but I haven't talked about that in a long time.
No.
And that's kind of it from the actual Gamescom stuff. I'm sure there was stuff on the show floor, but that's what was going on at the shows.
Yeah,
I suppose. And in other industry news, Sony bought Insomniac.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Make them a first-party studio, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were getting there. I mean, after the success of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
And, you know, they're using them extensively they've been using Spider-Man for the PS5 hype train already, haven't they? Saying, like, oh, look how fast Spider-Man can load if we run it on a PS5 hardware instead of PS4. It can load much faster.
Yeah, all of that, where you can speed through the city at double quick time.
Because we can load it
streaming
the
stuff at super speed, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. It's maybe they were just waiting, or I was about to say waiting for the success of Spider-Man, but Spider-Man was quite a success when it came out. It's like, why is it taking them so long to some degree to actually just say, yeah, we'll have that?
Maybe they're just in negotiation or something.
Yeah, maybe the deal took this long to figure out.
Maybe they were busy getting out of the Marvel universe, and then their negotiators were too busy with that.
Imagine they're not the same negotiators. I imagine, because the game universe is totally different from anything else, there was no negotiations to be done on the game front.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
As long as Sony still hold the Spider-Man rights, they can do what they want on the game side.
Hmm.
I wonder if that even counts, because it wasn't... Oh, yeah, because, multiverse happened. I was about to say, because isn't the deal usually with these rights things, is that as long as, especially the Spider-Man thing, is as long as Sony keep doing stuff with it, they can't lose the rights?
Right, yeah, so they have to make films, otherwise they lose them, yeah. Because that was the thing with the X-Men, that's why they had to make X-Men First Class, because the actors weren't available to do a normal X-Men film, but they were going to lose the rights, so they had to think of something.
Is that the only reason First Class?
Well, yeah.
That's kind of... Well, it's interesting and kind of good.
I think it was quite good.
First Class is one of the best ones they've made in a long time.
Yeah, I liked that one, yeah. But it was lower budget or whatever.
Yeah. Logan's pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Logan's good.
Oh, yeah, Logan's awesome. I don't think it's as good as people say, but it's still good.
It's still good.
Yeah.
So they did that. They did that. Good on you. Well done, Insomniac. We're not going to see Sunset Overdrive 2.
No.
That's what this probably means.
Probably not.
But I think Microsoft own that. I'm not 100% sure how that works out. You never really do when it's published, but when it's a third-party developer working with a first-party publisher who actually owns the IP, it's a bit up in the air. Maybe Insomniac still owns Sunset Overdrive. So if they ever decide to make another one, it'll be on PlayStation, maybe. Or maybe Microsoft will just make another one like Crackdown. Crackdown.
We'll find out.
That's Gamescom. That's pretty much news.
Yeah.
There's one other thing.
Oh, what's that?
Because we've got to get our epic story of the weekend.
Epic story
Epic
of the
fail of the week.
There was a game that just came out called Dark. The developer basically... It's on Steam. It's the first thing to say. The developer basically publicly came out and talked about the Epic situation because he got offered to go to Epic. And, people were worried about it beforehand, and then this deal happened in the background, and then he's like, I should probably just tell people that that I'm definitely not going to Epic. I'm going to stay on Steam, like I said I was going to, because for once I didn't remove myself off the Steam store like everyone else is.
Oh, so his deal was just like, no, I'll be on Epic, but I'm not.
Well, yeah, that's basically, he released part of his communications like an email with the Epic store. And they were like, do you want to come over here to the Epic store and we'll give you all this money? Obviously, the money part is not in this email. But the implication, obviously, was that Epic were going to spend some money. But he said in his communications that he didn't want to not be on Steam, so not exclusive to Epic. And in the Epic response, it specifically says that Epic won't do non-exclusive deals, at least with indies, at the moment. Oh. They very specifically say that in this email.
Right.
So you literally can't be on both at the moment if you're
you have to be exclusive.
You have to be exclusive to Epic, or they're not even interested in making a deal.
Interesting.
So that kind of confirms some people's suspicions about the whole concept that Epic of trying to be the good guys and trying to shake up the market is not really the case. They're just trying to starve Steam of product by buying up everything.
To a point. With timed exclusivity.
Yeah, they're not interested in just having a lot of stuff on their store. They only want stuff that only they can have on their store.
Right, and only on their store.
Yeah, and only on their store.
It's not a bad strategy.
For them, sure.
Yeah.
You can only get this here
if you have a ton of money to spend.
Because they don't make them cheap. But
yeah, that is the first very explicit confirmation that tactic is the tactic. It's not just a choice. It is a thing that they specifically say. If you're going Epic exclusive, it has to actually be exclusive. I mean, I guess that's what exclusive means, but it is literally that. It's that or nothing.
So he's not on Epic.
No, he's not on.
As a
result. He's only on Steam.
Okay. Well, good on him for sticking to his word.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like if you've already said you're on Steam.
Which is also one of the things that I was slightly more enthusiastic maybe about with Kebal Space Program, because they put a Steam store page up immediately. And I was like, thank God. But that doesn't mean anything for them.
No, a deal could still happen.
Yep.
There's still time.
But not that much time, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know if Take-Two or Private Division have had any dealings with Epic, have they?
Well, it's Outer Worlds, right?
Is that Epic?
I think so.
Oh.
And Borderlands, if you want to talk about the next tier up from Private Division. Take-Two.
I suppose
I've
it
had
is.
plenty of dealings with Epic.
Yeah. Borderlands comes under 2K, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I suppose you're right.
But man, that would super piss everyone off if that does end up on Steam.
Borderlands?
No, Kebal Space Program.
Oh, Kerbal. Right, yeah. That'd be crazy.
Doesn't sound unlikely, though. It really doesn't.
But they promised modding support, and you can't do mods on Epic. Well, you can, but not in the same way as the workshop, anyway.
They can promise it and deliver it a year later.
Oh, maybe.
And they can say, what? We gave you what you wanted. It just wasn't ready in time because of legal reasons. Epic. Well, now we know, I suppose.
Yep.
Now we know. I mean, they are picking up games that have already been on Steam for a while, though. There's not just... So there's only new stuff they're doing these deals. Because Hyperlight Drifter's on there and things like that. Things that were about before...
Sure.
Before Epic Store existed.
Yeah, but I don't... Yeah, I guess it's just the exclusivity being exclusivity implies that it's new games, I guess. They don't really care so much about back catalogue stuff that they're just trying to shove in there.
They'll take the back catalogue.
Yeah. They'll take Rocket League.
They'll take Rocket League. Yeah, the comment thread for Rocket Pass 4 was basically just filled with people saying, screw you, Epic.
Well, every comment thread since that announcement has been like that. Yeah. I can easily tell you.
Yeah. Rocket League community aren't happy. Then when have they ever been?
When is any community ever happy about that kind of announcement?
Yeah, when is any game community ever not toxic? It's just what games are like. When is any comment thread ever not toxic in some form? Ban the internet.
Yeah.
So you can't listen to this podcast. Oh no. I actually have to do it over pirate radio.
It's the only way. Get a boat off the coast of Suffolk.
Yeah. Go hang out near the wind farm. I'm sure that's safe.
Go on, Radio Caroline.
Caroline! Was that the name of the boat that rocked radio?
Yeah, I think so.
It's Caroline, okay. Couldn't quite remember. There's news!
Yep.
News is over.
It's time for what you've been playing.
Damn!
Rob, you said you got quite a bit.
Well, yes, because I haven't really landed on anything since.
He's got quite a bit that he's going to say one sentence
Yeah,
about.
Pretty much. Because I don't, after finishing Yakuza Kiwami, I haven't really, I don't know, I haven't really been able to settle on something.
Dived into anything.
Yeah, I haven't decided what I really want to do next as a big game. So I've just been jumping around a lot of little things.
Cool.
So I suppose... Oh, no, I'll save that one for last, because it's a segue. I started messing with Horizon Chase Turbo on PlayStation.
Okay.
Because it's one of the PS Plus games at the moment. Or might have been last month's, actually, PS Plus game. Which is a throwback to old-style racing games before 3D was a proper thing. But they really wanted to do 3D. A bit like... you know, the sort of graphical style that games like Chase HQ and Lotus Esprit Challenge.
Yeah.
Hang-On would try and do. You know, that's sort of like the ground is stripy and we'll just alternate the stripes to make it look like it's moving.
Yeah,
it's like an odd polygonal throwback to that look.
Oh, okay.
And that style of game where the like you're only really positioning yourself on the track. You're not really turning corners per se. It's it's interesting because it plays like that. So when you go around a turn, like the car basically turns itself and follows the track, but you're like the controls basically mean that the car's like pushed out towards the outside, so you do have to adjust a little bit, but it's not like you're really turning in. Like turning left on the stick isn't always the worst idea into a right turn, for instance, because you're just I need track position over there,
right,
and things like that. But you're just going to move over to the left quicker on a right turn, and things like that. So it's an odd throwback, which is I don't know if the visuals 100% pull that off because they've gone for like super crisp but super simple polygons. So it's like it runs at 4K.
yeah, easily.
Like, right. It's crazy sharp. They don't like it's all like flat textures apart from some of the graphics on the cars, which are themselves
so
pretty
it's like
simple.
Kind of like Daytona or something,
or simpler.
Right,
like even simpler than Daytona. Like it's like Daytona has textures, this does not even most of the time, and it's like it mostly works. It does mostly work. It's like I don't quite get that same feel of the games of old though. There's something not quite like old Outrun or not like that. It's like they've gone for like a lap based structure and tracks and things like that. And it's about coming first by the end of the laps, obviously. And it's also a good excuse to how they introduce traffic, I suppose, because there are cars at the back of the pack that you eventually start lapping, and they serve as obstacles even when you're out in front. So that's they kind of explain it to themselves quite well, I suppose, in that regards. They make it a tiny bit more interesting by having a nitro system. And also by having like these tokens you can pick up during the lap. And if you want to get the maximum amount of campaign points, you have to pick up all the tokens on the track whilst also coming first to get a super trophy. And if you get those, then you get quite a lot of campaign points. And then more campaign points you have, the more you unlock, like the cars and the tracks and stuff like that. It's all right. It is what it is.
It works.
It sets out to do exactly what it does, so fair enough. I experience one problem with it though, and that there are the occasional sound cuts. Like there's a technical issue. It seems to have
all of the audio, or just
like it has a stutter like across the entire audio every now and then, which is quite irritating. I don't think I experienced it the first time I played the game, but in subsequent plays I've definitely come across it, and it's frequent enough that it's quite an irritation. So there's that. What else have I been doing? Track is also on the sort of driving front. I've been playing Trackmania Turbo on Xbox because it was a game with gold. This is how I'm rolling at the moment. I'm just investigating the free services.
How old is Trackmania Turbo at this point?
A couple years.
All right.
Probably more than 2.
Yeah, probably more than 2. That game's Trackmania.
It's Trackmania.
It's Trackmania.
I don't think it is as much Trackmania though.
There's a bit more of an emphasis on, like, it starts out with an emphasis on drifting in the canyon area, and I don't think drifting was much of a thing in Trackmania.
Because I think what everyone forgets about Trackmania is the fucking, like, the van, the truck. To me, that's what Trackmania is about.
The truck?
That's the truck with the wooden textured things where you basically drove up walls and it was all 90-degree corners, and you basically stuck to the track. See, this is what I'm talking about. No one remembers that that's what Trackmania was.
Basically, my experience with Trackmania is Trackmania Nation.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just like F1 cars almost.
And then the stadium environment, which is...
And a marginal amount of off-road in that. But yeah,
which is totally in this as well.
Everyone forgets Trackmania 1 had 3 different environments. You had like the what modern Trackmania became, the sort of tarmacy one. Except even that was like a combined off-road because it looked like a sort of a Beetle almost, the car, and it was themed on like on a castle. Like the tarmac bits were sort of in a castle, but then you also had off-road sections in a forest with like mud.
So that might, because there's the two of the theme. What you're describing between the truck and that beetle thing.
Yeah,
they might be what are described in two of the game's 4 arenas. Like, because you've got Canyon, which is a sort of American West.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like NASCAR style cars and quite a lot of drifting. If
that
you want.
Environment was in the older Trackmanias as well. The sort of red canyon.
Yeah, it was kind of it was in addition to like when in the Trackmania 2, wasn't it? I think like was where that turned up. But you also get like Valley, which sounds a little bit like your Beetle car.
Yeah, I think that's probably what that is.
And probably the worst handling car in the game.
Well, that is
because it's super twitchy.
Yep.
So twitchy. And you go off road, and it's even twitchier. I'm not a big fan of that. And then you've got the Lagoon, which is known as Roller Coaster Lagoon, because it's got bits of track that magnetize the car.
Yeah, which is sort of how the old wooden style. Well, like, it didn't really magnetize; it was just like very high grip, so you could drive virtually up flat surfaces, but not really. But yeah.
It was this is pretty much like gravity-defying style when you're on the roller coaster-looking track. Like,
that's why I think people don't remember that about Trackmania. Is like because the modern Trackmania is about going really fast and doing crazy stunts, whereas in the old Trackmania it was more like almost a puzzle game.
Right. Yeah.
Like you had to very precisely drive around this series of awkward bits of track.
Right. Yeah, it's not that anymore.
Yeah,
it's not been. Yeah, I do vaguely remember when there's sort of like there wasn't the original Trackmania actually have a literal puzzle element where you had to build tracks between 2 points.
You had a certain number of parts, like the Incredible Machine almost.
Yeah, they've definitely gone a long way off that original idea. It's just now there's 200 tracks, like short little tracks in there, and some multi-lap things, and a time to beat.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what it was in the last couple.
And that's the game in its entirety. And
then they rely on people to make their own levels and put them on servers.
Yeah. I did dip into the online to see what was going on there, to see if there was much. I mean,
see if the only server running was the Giant Bomb one.
In fact, well, no, that doesn't seem to be there.
Oh.
Or at least I couldn't see it. Maybe that's because it's regional or something like that. Because it does the Trackmania thing of like being quite like, oh, pick exactly where you are, we'll rank you to your exact location.
So you can be like, I'm the number one person in England because I'm literally the only person playing it.
Yeah. It's a... well, I did manage to find some games running, but they're like, even though this, like, so in fair play to them, they have at least allowed it so then that the servers can support up to 100 players.
Yeah.
I've basically found a game with like 3 people in, and there were quite a few running with players in, but they only had 2 or 3 people in. It's like there was never a big game running anymore because the game's old, I guess.
Yeah.
But they tried. I'll give them credit for that. Maybe it was bigger when it launched. I don't know. And also, like, all the stuff I've seen so far has never been created stuff. It's always been just running on Nadio tracks.
No, that's weird.
Stuff in the game. I've not yet come across a server that's running custom stuff. I haven't spent too much time with it on that front, but I guess it's just seen as dead, right?
Yeah, maybe that's
just that.
Maybe that's why. Because I guess Nations was the peak of like the community server stuff.
Yeah, where it was at its most mad.
Yeah, where they got really fancy with their ideas for tracks.
Yeah, it was really cool at that point. It doesn't quite capture that lightning in the bottle, and it's I don't know. It's full of weird decisions. Like in some respects, it's like I don't think the styling's too bad. Like they do the sort of like everything looks a bit like pit boards and things like that. You know, the sort of black plastic with holes in it and stuff like that, which isn't too bad a look. Looks okay. That kind of NASCAR look, I suppose. But yeah, as I say, the NASCARs drive all right, but those Valley cars, they're just atrocious to actually just handle. It just doesn't feel right at all. And it's a real fight to get through some of those stages. Like some of the physics just feels. I mean, yeah, it's a physicsy sort of game, and so some of it just occasionally feels very, very off. Like they're not trying to be realistic because of course not. It's Trackmania.
No, yeah, it's like as soon as you're not touching the track, it just goes completely nuts.
There's next to no gravity, and they know it. It's like they're just rolling with it. It's like it's weird. It feels like there are physics, but like as if all of the cars were like an inch long. Like the physics of a super miniaturized, which would explain the low gravity, which would explain the weird way the grip works and stuff like that.
Because it's all like Matchbox cars.
Yeah. But in a world that's also Matchbox sized. Oh, sorry, Mike. I just mashed you. So it's weird, but like it's just the twitchiness of the Valley cars, and to some extent the Lagoon cars as well on off road. They're just, it's like, why do you think that was good? It's like, it's a bit like, do you remember when I've talked in the past about playing Vanishing Point on Dreamcast and how it had weird sensitive handling, and a good portion of my enjoyment with that game was getting to grips with how you have to kind of like, everything was a bit floaty, and if you're too heavy-handed you're going to be spinning and sliding everywhere, and it's about having a delicate touch on the analog stick, and it's like, this is also that, but not enjoyable. It's like it's too fast and too precise. It requires you to be too fast and too precise for that to really feel any good. Like Vanishing Point wasn't a super fast driving game. It was like a realistic speed driving game. So you had time to correct mistakes and get out of a fishtail and things like this. Doesn't like if you make a mistake, you're hitting a wall or you're flying off into the countryside after a bad jump or something like that. And it can be really frustrating. So that's odd. I think their decision about how they handle music is also quite weird, because so they have like a dynamic music system in play, which sounds okay at first. So they've got like 30 odd music tracks in here, licensed tracks and stuff like that. So it shouldn't be too bad. And they all play different segments based on the speed you're carrying. So at the start of a race, you get like a very subdued, perhaps like low pass filter version of like the beat or something. Yep. And then as you get quicker and quicker, it intensifies. Right. But then when you hit a bit of the track that slows down, it's like it calms down again. That's cool. So there are these weird cuts of the songs, like they're not like the actual song.
Oh, they're not. It's not like fading in, or it's just like is it?
Well, it's like cutting segments, or like I think the low pass is kind of like is done because they're doing that on a bit of track that isn't necessarily calm,
right? Yeah.
But it's jumping around the tracks. So like the next time you run a track, for instance, and you hear the same song, it's like it might start or play a different. It might play a different stem, for instance. It might play a different segment. Sure. But because of that dynamic system, it doesn't play any music at all when you're stopped, and it also changes tracks every time you restart.
Right.
So you never hear any of the actual music properly, because you're like resetting every 10 seconds or something. As soon as you make a mistake, you're like, right, I've got to restart and do it again. So you end up with this really disjointed experience of the drive. Like there might as well just be one song, as far as I'm concerned, that just occasionally does stuff. Because all you really hear is dum, 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 rabba, 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 dum, dum, dum.
Right, so all that fanciness isn't really.
It's completely unnecessary. Right. Yeah, it's like it's just odd. Like we've been better off just having the music playing, honestly. Or you could have done some stuff like jumping, do a high pass while you're in the air, and like the wipeout thing, right? Or the Ridge Racer thing, where it goes what, and then you land and it comes back in.
Yeah, which is cool.
This also plays into one of the other things that's super irritating about the game is they have these like this radio voiceover aesthetic when you're in the car that's like, so 3, 2, 1 all comes over like a radio chatter, and it comes from people in different languages, which is kind of odd as well. But I suppose that plays into the like Trackmania Nations thing. So every now and then it's like the guy shouting 3, 2, 1 will be doing it in Japanese instead, or German or French, and so it's jumping around the languages, which is kind of okay. That bit's fine, but it's like they do that thing where, like, I suppose that's kind of bad in Hydro Thunder as well, where they're always talking about what you're doing on the track. So if you're going fast or something, they're like, "Yeah, keep it up" and stuff like that. And the moment you have any kind of mistake, they're like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, that's annoying.
But that also happens when you're traveling what the game thinks is slowly. So they'll be like, "Oh, you're driving so slow right now," and it's like, "No, I'm on a track that actually I can't drive quickly. I have to go. I'm on this off-road bit where I'm drifting a lot, and it's not possible to drive quickly here."
No, because otherwise
the game is constantly going. I've never seen you drive so slow. And it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, no, I'm beating the gold target, you bastard. Shut up. And it's like, it's awful.
That's really bad.
Fortunately, there's the option to turn it all off.
Good.
So I've done that pretty quickly. Have to,
but yeah, just switch that shit off.
It's just like, why? Why is that there? There's one voice line in particular that's just like, most of the time it's like, what are you doing? Or get it together. Stay in focus. Stay focused. Focus. Concentrate. Concentrate. But there's one where it just goes, oh my God. Like as a disappointment. Okay. So every now and then you're just driving around and he just goes, oh my God. You're like,
what the hell?
I have to turn this off.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because actually, like, I don't know, other than the slight handling weirdness, it's like, it's okay. I'm kind of having a good time of it. I'm only like 20% of the way through it. I've done 40 of the 200 challenges. But I'll probably plug away at it still because it's all right. It's Trackmania, but
it's Trackmania.
It's just they clearly didn't think a lot of this through, or they didn't play test.
Do you think what's going to happen with Trackmania? Are they going to fix these things?
Mania's probably dead, right? What are Nadia doing right now? Like,
they killed it with that one.
Mania Planet didn't go anywhere.
Right,
all the planets.
Because they had Mania.
Shoot
Mania. Was there
Questmania never came out.
Questmania never happened, right? Okay. That was going to be my next question. All right, so Zach's trying to pick out.
You remember that now?
I do remember like original Trackmania, yeah, just from how that looks. Oh yeah. I remember playing quite a bit of that. How do I not remember this?
Yeah, exactly. The wooden tracks in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there was that. What else have I been doing? Played a bit more Tetris 99 because it's there, and I want to use my Switch Online account a bit. But I went back and I went into the NES library on that thing just to check in and see what's going on. And it's like there's not a lot I want to play there,
right?
Really. I tried playing Wrecking Crew. It's not a game I really want to play. It's more of a puzzler. It's a weird sort of arcade structured puzzler, which is odd. Like I should just be able to replay levels, and you sort of can, I guess. Has like a level select like Ice Climber and stuff does, where it's like skip to this point and just go. If you're not worried about score or anything like that, you can play from a certain point. But it's like it's one of those games where like if you screw it up, like there's no way you can win a level. Like if you do the wrong thing, you can end up in just a straight lose scenario, and it's like
and that's it.
I suppose they hadn't thought to structure it like a puzzle game, and it's more structured like an arcade game, which is odd. So I probably won't play that. I played City Connection, which is sort of a weird platformer where you're a car.
Okay.
So you have to be moving the entire time, and you can move left and right and jump. And the idea is to cover all of the ground with your car, so you make it.
Oh, I see. Painted.
So you've painted the whole floor. But the level like wraps and stuff like that.
So you can go back around.
Which I'm pretty sure we played a game, we had a game like that on Zach's Atari back in the day that was way better than this.
Oh wow!
It was like cartoon. You were like a cartoony red beetle or something in that Atari one that we can't remember the name of. And there was like you took too long devil that chased you at some point, which was classic. Yeah. I mean, it kind of animates really poorly, and it's the way the platforms move is very janky, probably because of NES limitations. But there's this really odd. The odd thing about that game is that I think it tries to stop you from just turning around and turning around and turning around on the spot by making it so, or fairly near the spot, by making it so like on bits of ground you've covered, if you double back on yourself, there will be a mouse there.
Okay.
Like a giant ass mouse just in the middle, and if you hit it, you lose a life. You don't just lose a life in the normal way. It for some reason goes diddler, and then you're back in the game, and then you put your life down.
Okay, so it's like a weird sequence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is that here? You're making a big deal of you lost a life, but hooray, you ran over a giant mouse. It's
weird.
It's weird. And there wasn't a lot else. Oh, I played one of the Dr. Mario save states where it puts you on the last level of the game so I could see the end sequence. Naturally. Because that's all that's there for.
To see the end sequence?
Yeah. They'd be like, oh, the viruses are aliens, and they get beamed up into a spaceship at the end.
And the Kremlin turns into a rocket ship.
Different game.
Not really, though.
It was kind of...
Might as well be the exact same sequence.
Yeah, space. So I did that. I've played a tiny bit more Sonic Forces.
Yeah, I noticed some achievements popped up.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, great.
To see what actually... There are more levels we haven't unlocked.
Well, we kind of figured there were a few.
But I need to... They're tied to the red rings, as we also found out. Or as we also knew. And we didn't get many of them.
No.
So there's quite a lot of that. Probably more to play if I wanted to.
But they're not real levels.
No. I had an okay time revisiting it, but I'm only playing like the early levels at the moment to try and get through things. But I don't know. It's just they're just so uninspired. Everything about that game just is uninspired. Like but I kind of, as I said during the video series, I kind of dig the Avatar music. It's all right.
I mean, I guess not very audible while you're playing the game.
No, because of all the bloody radio play that's going on.
And everything else.
I wish I could turn that off when I'm replaying the stages.
Well, you can play a Shadow. That turns it off, remember?
Yeah, only on the Sonic levels, though.
Yeah, on those levels.
Yeah, I did that. And I went back to 2 Point Hospital as well.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get through the level that was taking me forever because I couldn't get anyone with cubism to get cured.
Cubism?
Yeah, you can suffer from cubism. You become all abstract and walk all weird. Yeah. And you have to go to the recovery room to get your round edges put back on. It's been good.
Did you actually solve your financial problems?
Yes. In the end, I turned it around. I now got loads of money. Like, it just sort of happened.
Oh, okay. So you didn't even really... We talked about all those theoretical ideas you could have done, but you didn't need to do anything.
I didn't really do anything. Like, I just sort of... I think I deleted a couple of rooms that weren't being used all that much.
And got a huge lump of cash from that.
Yeah, and then I was kind of okay. I built them again now.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got a problem. And I've expanded quite a bit. And then eventually enough... I don't know quite... So what was going wrong mainly with me just getting that first star on that level and because I'm nearly at 2 stars, like almost immediately after that, was like... I don't know quite how it was going wrong, but I didn't have enough diagnosis skill somehow.
Right.
So people with cubism weren't quite getting enough diagnosis so that the treatment in the recovery machine didn't always work. Or because I don't know if you could really get the skill up in treatment, like just use doctors that had high treatment to run the recovery room, or something like that. It's not really a thing. It's like the quality of diagnosis does result in the probability of cure, and it's somehow I wasn't diagnosed, even though I could was constantly seeing people with cubism in my hospital. They just weren't being diagnosed well enough, so most of them were going away either uncured or dying. And it's, I don't know what changed. At one point that changed, and I cured enough people. And now the next target is quite a lot easier to reach if I want the 2-star that hospital. But I might just move on. But I think it took a long while to get to that point where it suddenly turned around. But the moment it did, it was just like, oh, all right, solved then.
We're back to the easy mode.
Yeah. Sold! And that's pretty much everything I've been playing solo. But it's worth mentioning that Zach and I co-opted our way through Cadence of Hyrule.
Oh, yeah?
That game's a good time.
It's good.
That game's a good time.
Even though we practically sped on it.
Yeah, we did it. We cleared it in 2.5 hours. Like, it didn't take long at all.
I was ironically kept saying it was kind of a speedrun, and then when we got to the scoreboard at the end, it was like, oh, we're 35th in the world.
Really?
Because not actually many people have played it co-op, of course.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no, we apparently got quite a good time in co-op.
Weird.
But as I say, most of the speed runs in the real mode, in the solo mode, are ridiculous.
Or insane, yeah.
Yeah. It was weird, but yeah, it was good fun. I had a really good time playing it.
So had you played it before? Oh, you played.
I played Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah, Crypt of the Necrodancer. Yeah,
but I hadn't played this before.
And this is a bit easier, right?
This is a lot easier.
Yeah.
possibly to its detriment. Actually, I could have quite liked a bit more of a challenge at some points.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah,
and also the BPM never changing.
Yeah, it is kind of the same, although it doesn't really challenge you in terms of rhythm all that much. But it looks really nice. I like its the music is excellent, and its takes on the Zelda themes and its sort of thing. Not enough shopkeeper.
No,
disappointed by the lack of shopkeeper.
Kind of just be silent for some parts of those songs.
Yeah, he should be involved in every note somehow. He's got to be obvious. But yeah, that game's really good. I do have the reservation where unless you're the sort that is going to be running this repeatedly to try and to actually play it like a run game and get better and better times, or play for step count is the other thing, isn't it? Do it in fewer beats. I don't know if you'd really get your money's worth out of it. That kind of problem. It's because we ran it in 2.5 hours, and a bit of me's just I wouldn't mind going back and doing it again, as some sort of maybe we do hardcore mode next or something.
And we didn't get everything either.
And we didn't 100% it for sure. Because we were sort of just going to the end as best we could.
Yep.
So while I don't mind revisiting it a few times, if I was a solo player, I don't know. I found it's one of those games where I don't think I'd want to play it solo. I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot in co-op because we could be a little bit more carefree in co-op. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then the tension of being oh hey, your partner has died. Zach's dead. I'm down to half a heart. One wrong beat and I'm dead.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's the tension of that is pretty cool. I enjoyed that quite a bit, especially when you then pull it off and you're yes,
did it.
But the game's not really hard enough to next time. Now I know I can do that. And go back into it and be but the game's not hard enough really to make me worry too much. It's I can probably pull it off.
That's cool.
Maybe it'll come though, because they supported Crypt a little bit, didn't they, after launch?
Yeah. Making it a bit,
adding stuff to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's been successful, so everyone likes it.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully this is another nod to Nintendo to be hey, let people do stuff with your franchises.
Well,
cool stuff can come out of it.
I mean, this has, yeah. Who's going to get F-Zero?
Who's going to get F-Zero? Sheeran are busy.
Apparently. Or maybe not any longer.
Maybe not. Maybe they're done. They're nearly done with the Touryst, yeah. Touryst. Spelled with a Y. Touryst. That's me. Kind of. Just a weird, I don't know what I want to land on is the thing.
It'll come.
Yeah, I haven't actually got any ideas in my head of what I want to play.
What the big next thing is.
At one point earlier in the year, I was toiling with starting Fallout, Fallout 4 or something, because I've got the Xbox version of that. But I've had too many people tell me that that's not the version to play. I should just,
Xbox version.
Yeah, especially on an old Xbox.
Yeah, I guess.
On an X, it's way better.
Probably.
Just because of the raw clock speed doesn't frame rate lock it too badly. So and also the PC version apparently is where it's at.
Naturally,
yeah.
Every Bethesda game when you can actually fix it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Apply enough patches to make it good.
I'm sort of tempted to give the Division a go.
Have you got that?
Yeah, I've got the original Division, not 2, but the original one. Tempted to see what that's like. Look, come at it from I wasn't in it from the start kind of point of view, because it has changed quite a lot apparently since it launched in terms of how its systems worked, and that was all what ended up in Division 2 pretty much. So it'd be interesting to see what that's. I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I played Division 2 a bit at EGX last year before it came out, and it was it felt pretty good. So it might be worth checking that out. And I've had this urge for months now, and I've never quite found time to play it, but I could whip out the fight stick and play some fighting games or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while since I've done that.
Cool.
That's me. It's where I'm at right now.
Seg, where are you at?
mostly space, but some other stuff.
You're mostly up in space.
The other stuff, or one other thing that I can't even remember, because space has been taking a lot of my time, I randomly played through Sonic Mania again.
Oh, cool.
But without the DLC still.
Oh, okay.
But that
did it in traditional mode.
Yeah, just regular. But that was weird because there is quite a lot of stuff that has actually been changed, even in the base game.
Oh, is there?
Because
I've only played it with the DLC.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first thing is they've added all those scene transitions at the end of levels to make it slightly more, to make it so there is any transition at all, even though a lot of them still aren't, really transitions.
They're not really logical, but they're there, yeah.
Where it's just Sonic and Tails look off into the distance and then it faces the next level.
Yeah.
There's definitely one like that.
They made some scene out of them, though.
Yeah.
Rather than just wandering off.
Rather than just going off the screen.
Yeah.
So there's that. But, the biggest thing is that they basically completely changed the Metal Sonic fight.
Did they?
Which was very strange.
I don't remember that happening.
Well, the first, it always used to be in 3 parts, basically, and it still is. The first part's basically the same, you just run.
Right, yeah.
The second part, where you have to fight him in the room with the Silver Sonic, that's made incredibly easy, because now whenever you destroy the Silver Sonic, a projectile comes out that almost always hits Metal Sonic directly, because it comes out on a precise diagonal line.
Oh.
And it's that part of the boss fight has been completely neutralized. It's not even slightly difficult now.
Okay.
Whereas before it was the thing that stumped people forever, because you just had to do the weird, you had to hit him while he was spinning and it would bounce him off the side of the room.
In a specific way, yeah. It was quite awkward, in fairness. It wasn't one of the low points, in fairness, of the game, and even then it's not that low.
Yeah, but that has been completely nullified. And then the third part is entirely different. Now Robotnik turns up, hands off the Phantom Ruby to Metal Sonic, and he turns into a giant stomping mech that follows you along the moving screen, rather than you hitting him and him falling into the spike wall like it used to be.
Now, I must have seen that, but I just don't know. I have no recollection of that. I wonder if that happened after the DLC.
But yeah, he turns into a giant robot. It's sort of like the robot at the end of Sonic 3 Knuckles.
Right, a bit like the Egg Walker thing.
Yeah, the Egg Walker thing, where the platform is being disintegrated gradually as it walks along, and it has a chest laser. It's basically exactly like that boss. But just like that boss, it suffers from the exact same problem, where you have to dodge the attacks, take your opportunities to hit the hit zone, but if you hit the hit zone very slightly wrong, the physics momentum propels you directly into the death pit.
Yep.
It's exactly like that boss in every way.
Okay, fair enough.
But I thought that was quite weird. It was just this is entirely different.
Huh.
And the hard part has been moved to stage 3 instead of stage 2.
Well, I suppose there's a bit of logic there, but
yeah. I guess. And I got all the Chaos Emeralds again, so I did the last boss again. And that hasn't changed. It still sucks. God damn that last boss.
Can't remember. What was it again?
You're Supersonic. You're flying around fighting the Egg Robo and Robotnik alternating.
Yeah.
And you have the entirely pointless dash attack that just uses all your rings up so you just die.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
That is bad.
That would have been a flop for something to change if they had wanted to. But yeah.
Sonic Mania.
Finish that up. And then just to see it again, sort of like that, the real ending where you get all those Chaos Emeralds and the not Death Egg but sort of tiny planet implodes, turns into a Sonic-shaped explosion, and then you that's where it's sort of implied you get warped into Sonic Forces.
Yeah.
Because Sonic and the Ruby both go through this mysterious portal.
Yeah, and somehow Eggman uses it to make infinite instead of whatever he was doing in this one.
Yeah. Making the robos weird, except that's kind of that just happened. That wasn't even what Robotnik was trying to do.
Maybe they should patch that out. or maybe they'll use it in Sonic Mania 2 and just pretend Forces doesn't happen. Yeah. It would just be Sonic will come out of a portal and it will be implied that that was where he was in the Sonic Forces universe, because he has to come back out of the Sonic Forces universe at the end of Sonic Forces. True. So it's just he comes out of the portal again, it's don't worry about what happened there. Yeah, nothing. Well, Sonic can't talk anyway, so it's fine. Exactly. No one will ever know. Classic the horrors I've seen.
Keeping stum. Or mum.
So there was that. Went through that again.
Awesome.
I still haven't got round to doing Knuckles and Knuckles, now that you can have that as an actual save file.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's a game option that you can trigger. It used to be restricted to the non-save mode.
Yeah.
You had to do it in one shot, but now you can do it on any save file. But there's just like the and Knuckles toggle. So if you're playing Sonic, you get Sonic and Knuckles, where he follows you around like Tails. But then if you're playing as Knuckles, you can turn it on and just have Knuckles and Knuckles.
That's so good. I love that.
It doesn't stop you from doing it, yeah.
I think I messed with it, and then when it was in the non-save mode, and I think I ended up playing through most of the game anyway. Yeah. just because that's what happens when I play Sonic.
There's a secret ending. That's the thing.
What, if you play Knuckles and Knuckles?
If you play Knuckles and Knuckles, there's a different end sequence.
Oh, maybe I'll have to do that then. Any excuse to go back to that game. Yep. That's fine with me. I can continue not playing anything important.
So there's that. And then, apart from that, I just continue to play options not included in my increasingly sort of low frame rate save file. Because I'm not, like... It hasn't really gotten more worse recently, which sort of implies certain things about what might be the sort of main thing that's draining the frame rate.
Right.
Probably the pathfinding of the duplicates, I would assume, is the main problem. But it might also be, like... I'm sure I said this one of the other times I played it back in the pre-release, but it might be like the number of items on the map.
Sure.
Because every item is effectively having to do constant temperature calculations, comparing its local environment and shifting temperature around.
Yeah.
So the number of items might be a problem, which is another thing that I'm sure I said before is the problem with space, where just like more shit is constantly landing on your asteroid, accumulating. And it's just like, that's just more and more items are just piling up there, and I've got like 2,000 tons of regolith off the top of the asteroid. I'm like, maybe I should think about getting rid of that somehow. Except there's not really any way to get rid of stuff, which is the problem. It's not like
you can't just make a cannon.
It's not like Dwarf Fortress with the Dwarven Atom Smasher where you can just vaporize things. The one thing you can do with regolith is feed it to a special creature that lives on the top of the asteroid, because it eats the regolith and then poops the regolith back out, but it poops out like 50% as much as it eats.
Right, yeah.
So theoretically you can gradually whittle away that huge... But even then, I've got like 2,000 tons! That'll last goddamn forever! Unless I go like super hardcore on breeding 1 million of those animals, which then has its own pathfinding cost, of course.
You avoid well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no helpful way to get rid of stuff. Like, you can't even chuck it in a volcano because it then just turns into magma. Then you just have a shit ton of magma.
I mean, space. Surely that's the solution. Fire it into space.
Yeah, I guess there is no way to, like, load stuff into a rocket, except for fuel, obviously.
Space cannons.
Can't fire stuff outwards.
You need a Futurama garbage cannon.
Yeah.
That you can miss the big fire button with your finger.
Yep, and say whoops.
Whoops.
But yeah, I've been continuing with my main base mainly, apart from I did eventually upload that video.
Oh yeah.
Eventually. And the secret other video. But I've mainly been playing my main base, which is now at cycle 1,000. So I've finished one of the main goals, now that there are main goals that got introduced with the launch patch.
Right.
There's like the colonization goal, which is like build this huge fancy statue, which is basically collect a shit ton of resources to build this huge fancy statue.
Right.
So I've done that part. That's easy. But then the real ending of reaching the temporal tear way away in space, which then triggers some kind of end sequence, apparently. That's just space missions, and space missions take a fucking long time in this game. Like, even
longer than everything else you're doing? Well, which is already a long time.
Kind of, because like even the closest range mission takes like 4 days, in-game days, for like 4 days there and back. And then like every step further out you go is like 2 more days on top of that. And the trouble is that, like, I'm sort of at the point in this base where space missions is kind of the only thing that I'm actively doing. So when I've launched the space missions and I'm just sort of waiting for them to come back, it's like, how am I going to spend this time? Like, what projects can I come up with to do while I'm really just waiting for space missions to complete?
Build more space missions?
Well, I did build a second rocket, but then that sort of, I guess that it does become a problem for me in terms of like resources, like actual fuel and stuff. And theoretically, I do still have to get teched up to do the third tier of rocket engines, like the most complicated one, which involves liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, which means really low temperature stuff. So I have to build a. But then the trouble with that is, in order to do that, I kind of have to get a certain amount of space materials, which allow you to build things like the super insulation that will allow you to contain that kind of super low temperature more efficiently, and like the supercoolant that will let you transfer heat much faster. You can only get that by collecting resources from space missions, so I still have to be doing these like shorter range space missions to build up towards getting the bigger rocket, and then I can do the longer range space missions to eventually make it all the way out to the temporal tear. And it's just like there's a lot of sort of waiting. So, I'm like, what projects can I come up with? Currently, my main projects have been related to the large number of volcanoes on this map. There was the one at the bottom of my base that leaked a bunch of heat out at the start of the game, which I kind of sealed off with insulated tiles. And I was like, maybe I can finally clean this up. So I started that process of like sticking steam engines on top of it and gradually drawing the heat out and then mining it down towards where the actual volcano is. And then there was another volcano beneath my launch, rocket silo, where it was just like, that's kind of in the way. Let's see if we can do something about that. So then I stuck another steam engine on the side of that and started drawing power out of there. And then there was another volcano that was way up near where my sort of airlock to space was. And I was like, that volcano is one of the ones that was like covered over from the start of the map, so it never erupted, so it wasn't hot. So I was like, okay, I can interact with that volcano by building stuff around it immediately. And it's also dormant right now, so I was like, oh, perfect time to get in there and build a actual fully contained power plant thing around it. So I came up with a design and built that, but then I've still got like another 16 days until that starts erupting again.
Right.
And then we'll see whether I was successful in my design. Although I already tested that design in Sandbox, so it should work.
It should be, yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of really long space missions where you're like, what else can I do in the meantime? Because my base is sort of quite stable. There's no like immediate problems.
Right.
It's like theoretically I'm going to run out of dirt eventually. But I've still got like 200 tons, and there's still quite a lot of map that I haven't mined out, I guess. So I could theoretically get quite a lot more. And water isn't a problem. The rocket fuel is the one thing that I made. Well, actually, I say that, but I've still got a ton of oil sitting around at the bottom of the map, and all the way critters that are just consuming the carbon dioxide and pooping out even more oil. And if I ever wanted to, I could tap an oil well by pumping water into it and just get even more oil. So it's like theoretically, even oil isn't really a problem.
So, is there much to the game when you run out of resources then, or do you have to just be on another asteroid? Or?
Well, I mean, the trick to it is like that for most of the. Well, I guess I don't exactly know, but for like, I would say probably everything in the game, there is like a way to get it infinitely in theory. Like if you want, like for dirt, after you've mined out all the dirt on your asteroid, it's like, well, you can, if you have, say, polluted water, you can evaporate that and it leaves dirt behind. Or you can run it for a treatment plant and then that makes polluted dirt out of sand, and then you can put that polluted dirt into a compost and that will turn it into normal dirt, and then you can use that dirt. So it's like there are, and then obviously the geysers on the map that produce infinite resources are where that comes from. So at a certain point you're like, how can I infinitely create a thing that I need out of whatever geysers I have sitting around? So if you have a geyser that happens to make polluted water, that is theoretically infinite dirt, assuming you can manage how to process that water into dirt. But yeah, so theoretically there is sort of every resource should have a way to sustain infinitely, and some resources you don't technically even need at a certain point. Like I'm only using dirt because I'm basically growing my main food plant in dirt, but I could quite easily shift over to a plant that only grows in just water or just slime. So I could theoretically not even use that much dirt. But since I've got so much fucking dirt lying around, I'm just like, I'll just keep growing those plants. I don't even need to worry about it for quite a lot longer.
Filthy dirt.
Yep, just a bunch of dirt. So yeah, that's continuing to be that game. And I'm very tempted to play other save files, but I'm like, no, I just need to concentrate on this one save file, get to the actual ending for once. See the ending for real. And like actually build the third tier of rocket that I've never actually built.
Get it done.
But yeah, it's definitely not running well on my machine.
Just thought I could spot something I could play. I've mentioned this before, but I'm probably going to pick up a bit of Game Pass to play Gears 5.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what else is on Game Pass?
What?
Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3 time.
Get a game of 2019 on the list. Because we ain't got many.
Ain't got many.
Game of the year is going to be a bit dull this year.
That's what we say every year.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a very heated battle between average games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not a big year, is it?
No.
But I mean, I guess we've got the release season coming up, but it doesn't seem like as much.
I mean, we should be in release season, right? Madden happened.
Yeah, I guess.
The maddening has occurred.
Did it happen?
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I think.
I'm thinking about FIFA.
Yeah, FIFA's not out yet. FIFA 20.
Yeah.
And that's a podcast.
Yeah,
I think that's a podcast. Got any videos coming up, guys?
Euphoria went up today.
Yeah, check that out.
I'm a week behind.
Yeah, and I uploaded the Oxygen Not Included video Thursday.
Yes, you did. Yeah, cool. I saw that go up.
Check those ones out.
After we worked out what our password is.
Yep.
Managed to get back into the account.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so check those out. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another Saladcast.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.